The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Good morning and welcome to our regular meeting agenda this Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. Any commissioners want to remove anything from our consent agenda?
Yeah, 5 and 8.
5
All right.
and 8. Anybody else? All right. If not with those changes, can I get a motion to approve our agenda this morning?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam,
Yep.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Otten,
Aye.
Landine.
Yes, motion carries. And then on our consent, with the exception of items 5 and 8, can I get a motion to approve that consent agenda?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
And I've got a motion and a second. Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Aaron's,
Yes.
Otten,
Aye.
Landine.
Yes, motion carries. All right, first item on regular business is our presentation on compensation and benefits study by McGrath.
I will just quickly introduce. Hi, it's Carrie Elling, Director of Human Resources. We have Dr. Victoria McGrath online via Zoom to present her findings from the study. And then, of course, I'll be here to address any questions as well.
Thank you. Good morning, can you hear us? Nothing?
No, I can't reach her, so
Okay.
if we want to pivot and move it towards the back. And
Yeah, let's do that. We'll just keep going, and then if we get her, we'll take it up. All right, thanks. All right, second item on regular business, board discussion on the appointment for commissioner vacancy by Doug Putnam.
I want to speak today not just about the appointment of the new District 2 Commissioner itself, but the process. What happened was disserviceable. What happened was a disservice to the applicants who believed that they would receive an honest, fair consideration for District 2 Commission seat. And to the residents of District 2 believe their voices would be genuinely heard. Lincoln County taxpayers took the process seriously. They invested their own time preparing letters of intent, submitting applications, interviewing in a public meeting, and returning the following week because they believed the process mattered. The public took the process seriously as well. Between the meeting at Norway Center and the two commission meetings, representatives from Fairview, Eden, Norway, Pleasant, Brooklyn, Delaware, Highland, Lincoln, Grant, and Dupree townships appeared to participate in these local officials and residents who residents who know District 2 best and choose to make their voices heard. The public support was overwhelmingly one-sided. 10 individuals publicly supported Dwayne Carlson. Matty Vogel received 3 supporters. Sarah Stevers and Linda Montgomery each received 2. Eric Endable received 1. Herman Otten received no public endorsements during the process. Dwayne also had a support of 2 applicants who later withdrew. A state legislator who supported him, 5 township officials, 1 planning and zoning commissioner, and representatives from 10 to 14 townships in District 2. Whether you agree those recommendations or not, they are representing a significant amount of public participation. Those residents believed their comments, their attendance, and their support would be part of the commissioners' deliberation. Instead, many of the people walked away believing that the decision had entirely been made, which we wasted a lot of time. If that was the case, the public deserved honesty, the applications deserved honesty, rather than asking people to spend hours preparing applications, interviewing publicly, attending meetings, speaking before the commission. They should have been told from the beginning that the outcome had already been decided. Government works best when the people believe that their participation matters, even when someone is not appointed. They should know they were heard, their qualifications were fairly considered, and the decision was made after genuine deliberation. Unfortunately, many District 2 residents no longer have the confidence. That is the greatest disappointment regardless of who was appointed. The process should have strengthened the public trust in the county government, not weakened it. I hope further appointments are conducted in the way that demonstrates every application receives genuine consideration and every citizen who takes the time to participate knows their voice matters. Now, we took an oath, okay, that will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the South Dakota, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and honestly discharge the duties of my office to the best of my knowledge and judgment. So help me God. Now, do you think that was really what happened there? We wasted 2 weeks. You already had it figured out what was going on. You knew who was going to be voted, you two. Very simple. Now, you two are going to be gone. Herman, he's here. Sherry, when these two leave, you're just, what the heck? You know, and it just amazes me. Everybody here is gonna look on you a lot different now than they had been in the past. This is such a, I don't know. Nothing in your oath. Nothing at all happened there. This oath is worthless. Nobody else needs to take an oath once all this mess occurred. Now, you got Herman now. You got him for 5.5 months so you guys can get your own little agenda together till you two leave. And Herman, oh, I'm sorry too. I was going to apologize to you because it was Bill 121 instead of, what was it? 210. And I apologize. But I still don't forgive you for what you did to the town, tried to do to the townships. Now, this is a travesty. Everybody sitting here condemns the idea. But you guys went ahead and just plowed her through. Fairly, impartially, and honestly. You guys did that, didn't you? There's nothing fair. There was nothing impartial. There was nothing honest about that whole deal. I'm done. And God have mercy on you guys.
Carrie, did you get a hold of? Okay, great. Can you hear us okay?
Public comment?
Yes, I can, and I apologize.
All right. Go ahead, Doctor.
Public is looking for
Sure,
comment on the agenda
Yep,
item,
we'll circle
Madam
back to
Chair.
that. I have a professional, that's first item on our agenda, so we're gonna take that up now. Go ahead, Doctor.
Could I need to share my screen, so right now there's somebody else sharing their screen. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for allowing me to meet with all of you today. And again, my apologies. I had 8:30 on my calendar, and I'm sitting here at my computer, but the invite for Zoom came in at 9. It was for 9 o'clock, and I thought, oh, you must have moved me. So again, my apologies for that. But anyways, I'm Dr. Victoria McGrath. I'm CEO of McGrath Human Resources Group. We were asked to come in and take a look at your current compensation system and make sure it's updated to the market. So talk a little bit about how we did that and what we did. A little bit about us. We were established in the year 2000, so we are in our 26th year of business. We currently have a little bit over 730 clients in 43 different states. There's two sides to the business. McGrath Human Resources Group is we do public safety. We do consulting for human resources, and then McGrath Consulting Group is our parent company, and that does public safety, police, fire, EMS, and dispatch. So a lot of times we work together on projects. So how we proceeded with this study was this. We did interviews with administration, making sure what were the goals and objectives of the study. We met with department directors. We reviewed your current compensation system, your current job descriptions and policies related to compensation. We did not do a full classification and compensation study, so we just looked at the county's job descriptions when we had questions about the positions. We selected a number of comparable organizations, which I'll show in just a second, and we collected data from them, their minimum, their midpoint, their maximum, and what people were actually making. And then we reviewed that draft compensation system after we made some minor changes to position placements and whatnot with the directors again to make sure that they were I didn't miss anything or we forgot something. We did collect information on benefits. We're not going to really be going over the benefits today. Those are all things that take a little bit longer to implement and to take a look at. These are all the companies or the organizations that we went and got data from. We did have a number of them that did not participate, and so we made decisions with Human Resources to either get their data through open records or through just say, hey, we didn't need them. And considering your major competition and the one that everybody says that we need to compare to is Minnehaha, as long as we had Minnehaha, I felt comfortable with the number of organizations that we had. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the compensation study, I think something that's interesting that you need to kind of be aware of is your employee demographics. Your employees age 50 and above have the longest tenure within your organization. So your average years of service is 7.21, which is higher than what the Bureau of Labor Statistics says, which is 6.94. But I think you're going to see an erosion of that years of service just because you have at least, this is the group that probably in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be leaving the organization and starting to retire and having fun. So what the concern is that you've got at least 42% of your employees right now are under the age of 40 and have less than 3 years or less of service. This is the group that's more mobile. This is the group that one of my clients called the shiny object organization. If they see something shiny on the other side of the street, they're going to go after it. So the question is going to be, what are you going to do in your total compensation, salary, and benefits to keep those folks within the organization? Because it takes a lot of time to recruit, takes a lot of money to train them, and then, of course, you don't want to train them and have them leave. So that's something that you should be aware of and cognizant of as you frame your compensation and benefit structure. We're going to walk through a couple of the salary data points. We use something called a comp ratio. A comp ratio is the ratio of maybe your step one to the average starting salary of similar types of positions. We say that if the comp ratio is at 50%, you're on target, you're at market. If it's, but we usually put a little bit of a range around that. And so basically if you're at the 45% comp ratio or higher, your position is paid appropriately in relationship to the market. Less than 45, we need to take a look at that. And maybe there's something different with the positions or that position has slipped in the market and we need to make some adjustments to that on your salary schedule. So if we look at your step one, actually you're very good. Only 40% of the positions, benchmark positions, were under the average market rate, which is actually pretty good. So you've been keeping up with your schedule pretty well. You're always going to have some that are going to fall below the market just because of market conditions or your salary schedule is a little bit off balance. But 60% of your positions right now, when they look at the starting salary, is aligned with the average market rate. So you've done a very good job on that. Same thing with the maximums. I was a little concerned. You have 17 steps. That's pretty large. It's a pretty wide salary schedule. And Carrie and I had some conversations about that. But you're not that far out of line. So 76% of those step 17s are in line with the external market. 24% are a little bit lower than that. But again, that's really nothing to worry about. So the structure of your salary schedule right now is pretty much in line. We'll talk about some adjustments to it that I'm recommending and like to see in the future. You have 3 different salary schedules. The non-bargaining has 17 steps. There's about 2.5% between each step. Highway, which we took a look at, has 13 steps, and again, an average of 3% between each step. There's only 5 positions in that schedule. And the same thing with the sheriff deputies. There's 13 steps with 2.5%. So we did not change the structure. We did modify the non-bargaining salary structure once you get to a certain level within the organization. I have no recommendations for the highway schedule. They're very well compensated, let's put it that way. And the sheriff's department, the sheriff came up with a modified schedule that he talked to me about, and that modified schedule looks very good. So what we're recommending is that adding 3% to the entire schedule for the non-bargaining unit. That will align with the market, and more importantly, the question I always got was, what does Minnehaha pay? So that's going to align you with Minnehaha. And if you can, I think there's been some discussions about doing that in 2026 because it's only going to affect a portion of the year. In pay grades 114 to 118, basically, if I want to start with either Minnehaha or the market, you're basically starting at step 6. To cut off all 6 steps initially would be a big chunk of money, and I don't think you need to do that. So we've eliminated steps 1 through 3 now if for this 2026. Once step 4 clears out, I would then drop step 4. And then the following year, once step 5 drops out, I would drop step 5 because that's going to put you more in line with the market and with Minnehaha. I did not add any additional steps to the end, so the schedule at some point in time will be step 6 through 17, which I think at this point in time is fine. We have moved some positions. There's a list in the report. There's a list here. Because even after putting that 3% on that schedule, it's still, the positions really didn't kind of align very well. So we did move some to a higher pay grade. There are some positions on this list where, I'll pick on the planner. We talked about, do we move the planner up or not? And instead what we decided was to create a planner and a senior planner. So that's a position that will be in the future, and obviously still has to go through all of your approval processes. Same thing with the appraiser's office. There were some positions that she's looking at adding in the future, so we added those on to the system right now since we had the data for it. Like I said, we reviewed the sheriff's recommended schedule, and we did the highway one. Even though we're putting 3% on the schedule for this year, you're still going to have to look to see, for your budget purpose for 2027, what folks around you are adding to the budget to increase that salary schedule for 2027. Right now, most of my clients are looking at 3% salary range adjustment, but again, you have to take a look at what's going on within your area. Like I said, we did go through benefits. We talked about health insurance, and there's a lot of information in the report for that. Time off, extended sick leave, bereavement leave, all of them are pretty much in line. There are some recommendations for some modifications for any of the benefits. And then we looked at some benefits that are not necessarily in the public sector yet, but they're starting to creep their way into the public sector, and you see them in the private sector, such as volunteering time off, long-term care insurance, college savings plans, lifestyle savings accounts. So those are types of recommendations that you can take a look at and see whether or not those are something that would work for the county or not. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I will answer any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Doctor. Any commissioners have questions?
Was the bottom line, Doctor, was the bottom line for non-aligned, you said 3%?
Yeah, if you add 3% to the current schedule, that you are going to become in line for the vast preponderance of your positions with both the average market rate and Minnehaha.
Okay.
Any department heads that are present that have any questions for Dr. McGrath?
They all met with her, so.
Okay, everybody's met? Okay, perfect. All right, other questions from the commission?
Yeah, good morning. And I don't know if this is a question for you, Carrie, or for Dr. McGrath. This is basically a high-level top-line PowerPoint that we
Yep.
got. Is there the actual study that's available?
Yeah.
Gives all the breakdowns and all that?
You should have received it via email.
Okay.
I sent it out prior to this.
And you did.
Yep.
I was stuck here inside of my
Okay.
portal
Yep.
looking for it, and that's why I asked.
Yep, I
So,
can
okay.
resend as well, too.
No, if you sent it already, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Other questions?
Doctor, were there any surprises or trends that you noticed that we should be aware of, other than some of the age demographics of our staff?
I don't think there were any surprises other than I really would have liked to have eliminated some steps. 17 steps is a lot. It makes it a very large range from minimum to maximum. It creates a lot of overlap between other pay grades. So if I'm taking a promotion, I'm probably going towards the middle to the top of that new salary range. We chose not to do that just because you've got so many people that are at steps 15, 16, and 17 that those folks would then be off the grid and may not potentially get increases, and so you're affecting your longer tenured employees. So I don't think that it was a surprise, but I wished I could have created a different schedule. What I would recommend is maybe, in 28 or 29, you do a full classification and compensation study where you look at that and then maybe kind of revamp the schedule and get it a little bit more in line with what a typical salary schedule should look like. But other than that, you've done a very good job so far of keeping that schedule up and placing positions to be not that far off the market. So kudos to all of you.
Other questions from the commission?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. Anybody have any other questions for Carrie?
Thank you.
All right. Any public input on the presentation?
Thanks, Dr. McGrath.
All right. If not, we are going to continue on with our board discussion on the appointment that Doug Putnam spoke on. So we'll start
I
with public
speak
comment on
on
that item.
Could I speak on this?
I'm sorry.
Could I speak on
Thank
the
you.
presentation that was just?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I didn't see you. So,
That's
yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Beth Quayle from Harrisburg. I just assume this isn't that this has to be paid for by Lincoln County, so can we know how much this study cost?
When it was passed, Sherry or Carrie, do you remember how much? I know we did the partial instead of the full to save money.
I think it was 29, but I'm not
I-
totally sure.
Okay, all right.
How much was that?
Thank you.
29.
All right. Any other public input on the presentation? All right, if not, then we'll move on to what we were discussing on item 2. And we're taking public comment on item 2.
Good morning, Scott Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. I want to agree with what Doug's presented here. I mean, when you have 8 candidates on the ballot, and it's going to we have our attorneys get up and tell us how long this thing would probably take, and there'd be multiple votes and how it was all going to work, and all done in one vote. It just kind of set me back a little bit. It's like things were pre-planned here. So the people were not listened to. I mean, there was an election where Dwayne Carlson lost by 34 votes. There was 10 people got up here and supported him, and you guys just ignored us, which I think is wrong. This is supposed to be a representative government. You're supposed to represent the people, and you chose to ignore us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Kelly Breck, T, South Dakota. First of all, I want to thank you all for putting together a process to do the election. It was a very smooth process, very well thought out. But I'm going to echo what a lot of people are probably going to say, that it seemed like there was already a foregone conclusion. So I don't want to pretend that you guys really put put a lot of thought into who you were going to choose, because as I see it, and I could be wrong, and I've been wrong before, but it looked to me like the fix was already in. We had all these very qualified candidates with a myriad of different experiences, and you chose a person, and I'm going to say, again, on my view, based on their last name. And so that's very unfortunate. We had a lot of people speak on the behalf of the citizens, but I see a trend here in Lincoln County, and it's very, very disturbing to me. And I know 2 of you are going to be leaving. We're going to have a few more commissioners, so I'm hoping that we can right the ship. I know it's going to take a little bit of time, but I also want to express that I see that, no disrespect to Commissioner Otten, I mean, they called him to do this job, and he's a public servant, so I'm not attacking him or throwing any sort of disrespect on him, but it appears that you have some projects you want to shove through in the last 5.5 months, and I know that, maybe Herman's going to be playing ball with you guys. I'm just going to say that. That's the appearance. I could be wrong. But again, I want to thank you for at least pretending like we had a voice, but we really know we didn't. And thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Anybody else want to come up and give public input on agenda item 2?
Beth Quayle, Harrisburg. I agree with both the people who have talked. I have nothing against you, Mr. Otten. I don't even know you, but I think if you had any honor, you would decline this appointment. Thank you.
Other public input this morning on item 2? All right, if not, we're going to move on to item 3 on our agenda. Building and grounds. Morning, John.
Good morning, John Rombo, Building Superintendent. So the first thing I have on the agenda on this item would be the materials that I need, the equipment that I need for the new Justice Center. And basically all the other departments have now made their request. I'm down to the last one, I think, but
What is it you're requesting?
I put together the list of the items that I would like to purchase, and it's anything from my auto scrubbers for the floors, to refrigerators for the break room, to the mowing equipment for mowing the grounds, and so forth.
And now
Is there
you,
anything having to do with wine chiller?
So those things are,
Couple of them.
in all of the jury rooms, we currently have basically like a dorm refrigerator. And from my understanding is they've discovered that because they're encapsulated into the cabinetry, they have a tendency to run hot and they burn up. And I will tell you, I've replaced 2 or 3 already in this building. So that is a piece of equipment that they choose to use instead, because it'll still chill water and stuff for them, but not run as hot. It's more designed to be in a cabinet.
What's the cost of those?
I'd have to go to the list. I don't have, is the list?
It's the second one, it's up there.
Sorry.
the, like, mini fridges in the jury rooms.
$659 for 2 of them, $13.18.
Yeah.
And then how much is the refrigerator?
The actual larger refrigerators are $1,000, $1,060. When I started this process, whatever, 3 or 4 months ago, they were $1,000. They went up $60. That's pretty basic, nothing special refrigerator.
Are those on state bid?
Not that, I think that price came from Carl's, to be honest, but
Yeah, everything, I think, from Carl's. The, so the $6.99 wine coolers there, there's nothing else that would actually do that other than just them.
honestly, I just went by with what Minnehaha County has done in their jury rooms, and I utilized their expertise, and I didn't argue it, you know.
So it's not per se a wine cooler, it's just a water cooler,
It's basically a refrigerator, but
little refrigerator.
yeah.
Cool the water.
On the document, it's called an under-counter beverage cooler, so I don't know where you're getting the wine part of it unless you haven't looked at the item. Commissioner Putnam.
Well,
I can call it what I want, can I?
You sure can.
Yep, there we go.
what do we need those for?
Every jury room we have now has one. I think it's they probably supply water, bottled water and so forth for the jurors when they're in there.
Okay.
Not my expertise. I just supply with what is expected, I guess.
John, how much does the judges protocol when you have a jury sequestered, isn't that just mandatory that they have drinking water available? I mean, are we, isn't that just a customary thing?
I would agree. I believe it is. I mean, the juries I've been on, they supply water. so
Jury
I
room,
don't-
are we going to say, I'm sorry, you don't have any water, you'll have to go to the restroom and fill up your water glass and bring it back? I mean, some of this stuff gets to be, just natural part of the process of putting together a facility that meets the basic requirements. And seems to me water is pretty fundamental. So I don't know what we're quibbling about here.
Well, I don't think it's the service of water. It's the service of a device that costs $659 to chill the water. Nobody's taking away the water tap.
Okay.
What we're saying is, go around to all the courthouses in South Dakota. You don't have under-counter beverage coolers in probably 90% of the courthouses of South Dakota. It seems like an extravagance. And a lot of taxpayers are saying to themselves, well, I don't have an under-counter beverage cooler at my house. And 90% of the courthouses don't have one. Why does Lincoln County need one? It just seems extravagant, and it seems tone deaf for whoever put this together. And I don't think it's John. And this whole thing about, well, Minnehaha County has it, so we should have it, that's not a persuasive argument. I mean, Minnehaha County has like 10 times the tax base that we do. If they want to purchase under-counter beverage coolers, they can go ahead, but I think the public is expecting better from us. Nobody's taking water away from the jury. That's a nonsensical argument.
Do you have an alternative then as to if we don't want the underwater whatever cooler that seems to be so objectionable? What is your alternative? I mean, do we have something, or do we just say no to this one and then what? So what's your alternative?
I spend a lot of time in courthouses. It's my job. I'm going to be in a courthouse this afternoon. There is no cooler and there is no refrigerator in the jury room of the courthouse I'm going to. Are the people of Yankton County different than the people of Lincoln? Do the jurors of Lincoln County somehow need cool water in order to make better decisions? It's a red herring to say, what is your alternative? I'm like in an alternative universe right now where I'm having to think about buying cold water for juries through an under-counter beverage cooler for $659.
But now, that's only 2 of them. We have 4 courtrooms that we're gonna utilize, I guess.
Well, that brings up the issue of, are some jury rooms in need of cooler water when others don't?
Well, maybe it's just a cooler room.
There's 2 primary jury rooms in the design. Large jury rooms, and that's the 2 that I believe get these. I will tell you that I questioned this at front because some of this stuff on this list was already laid out for me. And I wasn't even sure who had requested them because at the time when I saw this list, it was a combination of both the sheriff's equipment and IT equipment and mine equipment. So I did question it. And that was the response I got, that there is a benefit to going with this type piece of equipment because of the longevity of that equipment built in the counter.
John, who did prepare this?
I got it from Tegra, so
No.
You got it from who?
Tegra, that our owner's representative, is where I got the initial list, and of course, then I've had to modify it considerably since then.
Somebody must,
Again, the jury rooms I realize that they belong to my inventory because I've had to replace them in this building. So I don't have any argument that it's my piece of equipment or Lincoln County's piece of equipment to purchase. I will tell you, I've never bought water, so I don't know if the court system supplies the water, who supplies the water. I know there's water in them, but I'm guessing the court supplies it.
Oh, this machine has water in it and you just
It's
hold the
correct.
cup up
It holds,
there?
no, it holds bottled water.
Bottled water,
Correct.
yeah. Do we have them in our courtrooms now?
We have more like a dorm-style refrigerator.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that I will throw out there is because I'm not sure that the design of these rooms aren't built to hold this type of piece of equipment, you know what I mean? It might not be easy to put a dorm-style refrigerator in the cabinetry that exists already.
So how would this be installed in the cabinetry?
Well, it'll just slide in place, but I don't know, the cabinetry might be built to the specs to hold this piece of equipment. I don't know.
Okay,
I'd have to look into that.
yeah. But now, again, you couldn't use them out of this old courtroom and take them over there and just utilize them. I guess we haven't done much of that, which would have saved the taxpayers money, but
Is there anything wrong with the current existing dorm fridge coolers here at this courthouse?
They're operating right now, I don't know.
Yeah, they would work just fine, wouldn't they? I think taxpayers are like, why would you buy a $659 under-counter beverage cooler when we already have ones that are working? Heck, I have 2 dorm fridge coolers in my garage right now from 2 of my kids. I'll donate them to the county if you want them.
Anything else you want to talk about on your list?
Do you have any other questions off of that?
refrigerator, is that refrigerator got an ice machine and everything in
It does
it? Or
not.
is it just a basic,
Just a basic refrigerator.
just basic
Right.
for 1,000? Could anybody put water in that? Water bottle?
I'm sure you could, but then you'd have to make sure you got it to the jury room and have it be cold during, a questioned jury or something. I don't know.
I guess I was never into cold water. I just drank water. The,
Up in Flandreau in the Moody County Courthouse, they make you, there's a bathroom connected to the jury room up there. There's no refrigerator up there, but you just walk into the bathroom and you fill your cup up at the bathroom sink if you want water. It just seems extravagant. And it seems like this is being pushed on us by, we just heard it, by Tegra. And it just seems so un-South Dakotan. You look at the rest of South Dakota, there's nothing different between us and the rest of the other counties around us. They're our fellow South Dakotans. We're just spending more money for nonsensical reasons, and it just separates us farther. I mean, a lot of people are saying to themselves, what the heck are you doing, Lincoln County?
the next question is there a refrigerator upstairs in the courthouse or courtrooms? Or buy them or something, or
There's refrigerators in the break rooms,
in the break rooms?
and that's where these refrigerators will go.
Okay, but we couldn't take the refrigerators out of the break rooms and put them over there?
They exist in break rooms that will still exist in this
Oh,
building.
the break rooms will be here after the courtrooms are done?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, that's a good point.
And I'm not gonna fall on a sword whether we got coolers or not, but to your point, Commissioner, this is a brand-new building. It's brand new, it's,
Well, yeah, David Gillespie told me
One time-
about.
one
He's-
time
he
you
told
have
him
a new-
one time that money's made to be spent and we'll spend it, right, Jim? Yeah, let's
could I
spend that
finish,
money.
could I finish my sentence,
Go ahead and
please?
finish it now.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is a one-time deal. You start with a new building, and you'd like to put it there that it's going to be adequately equipped so it will last well into the future. I mean, we've got courtrooms in our building here, the old courtroom that's been, for over 100 years. So I look at it to say this is a one-time thing.
It isn't one
If it
time.
becomes
there.
onerous to spend $600 to put something in, then don't put it in. And, we can make it as basic and as you want. But I
We've already
certainly don't
spent
want to hear
54
back
million
from people.
bucks.
Once again, Commissioner, please,
Yep,
I'll give you all the time you need to talk.
you finish, I'll finish then, yeah.
This is a one-time thing, and then how many times hadn't we heard when we bought something or built something new that we wished we would have done this? And maybe will be one of those issues, maybe it won't. But if water becomes such a major issue, let's try to eliminate that problem and get on with something that's important. So,
It's not the water. Do you think we're all stupid?
it isn't the
You're treating
water.
us like we're ignorant.
No.
You just said, it's about the water. We're not stupid. We're not ignorant. It's not about water. It's about, are you looking at the budget? Because if you can't do the little things right, you can't do the big things right. And here's the deal, Commissioner. People are saying to themselves, are you scrutinizing the budget? And we're having a discussion right now over things that you want in there. Nobody is saying, let's deprive the jurors of the water so they make their decisions faster and thirstier. That's a nonsensical argument. This goes to a larger issue that the public looks at. They're looking at us as a government, and they're saying, are you going through the budget line by line and picking out the wants from the needs? It's that simple. And this is an issue, this is not an issue of, well, it's just a one-time purchase. We hear that all the time. The one-time purchases have been going on for 28 years. We don't want 28 years of one-time purchases. We want no years of no purchase when it's not sensical, which in this instance, it's not.
I want to say, I can understand, and I don't really, Counselor, you're well-spoken. I'm not talking about water, I'm talking about building a facility that's going to be there. Whatever the accompaniments that are there, we can scrutinize, I agree. You look at, you evaluate, but there are a lot of people in our county that probably don't agree necessarily with your point of view. And they're not here today to speak for them, but we are, and I am, and so I just want to, if this is an issue, then that we go through line by line. We've already put in our metal detector that is 28 or 29 years old, that doesn't have any repair, and we're going to put that in our new Justice Center. Versus spending $20,000-$30,000 for one that will probably last for 20 years.
I think it was 12,000.
At what point do we say it's better to do these things right up front and get it done? And if it costs money, that's fine.
So
I don't think there's anybody that puts money into
I'm
the
going
new
to move the
facility.
discussion
So anyway,
along since there's quite a lengthy
we'll
list
leave that
here.
alone.
I never
John?
did get to speak either, so. I
You'll
should
get
be
a
able to speak.
chance. John, are there other items on your list that you would like to discuss?
Don't let me speak.
I'm more
Just forget
interested,
about me.
I'm more
Yeah, don't-
interested in the
I don't need to
$50,000
speak.
lawnmower.
Yeah,
So let's hear about that.
yeah.
That is the one item that I thought would be probably the line of, or the biggest part of the discussion, but, so You all know my background. I've been doing grounds maintenance for 20 years. There's a lot of different equipment out there, and quite honestly, the piece of equipment, and I don't remember which commissioner was on the original discussion on this, but I had an $80,000 piece of equipment that was a snow machine that converted to a lawnmower during the summer, and I have purchased those for the state through the normal bid process multiple times. They are by far I'll use the word Cadillac piece of equipment, but they're probably the most safest piece of equipment, the most best operating piece of equipment, and it's just, they're safest because they stay warm, the windows stay clean, you can do snow removal all winter long, but it was expensive, and I agreed, it was a high ticket item. So what I went with was basically what we currently use at this facility, a riding John Deere tractor, that'll have a cab that's put on it, and that'll be the primary snow machine for that facility, for sidewalks. Then all part of that package, I would also get a zero-turn lawnmower to mow the grass. Where the other piece of equipment, that was an $80,000 piece of equipment, it converted. Now this is a package, it's got two different pieces of equipment. The snow machine will have a cab on it, so my staff can stay warm to do the snow removal. There's a lot of sidewalks out there. And I think you'll see a lot of that type John Deere lawnmower running around on trailers for other contractors doing snow removal equipment, So it's well recognized as a dependable piece of snow removal equipment. It's got interchangeable attachments. Those attachments are included in this. So I could switch from a broom to a blade, that to a snow blower. It's got the snow blower attachment. So it's multiple functioning piece of equipment. And like I said, it's two pieces of equipment because I also have the riding lawnmower in there.
Are these off state bid, John?
It is, John Deere has the Sourcewell contract, so it's based off of Sourcewell.
I'm sorry, what was
It's
that?
based off of Sourcewell. It's a national purchasing through government agencies.
Okay, thank you.
John, this issue of the auto scrubbers, that's a pretty spendy item. 14 grand and change for the riding one, and then 13.5 for the chariot style walk behind. What's the need can it just get done with one scrubber instead of two?
The problem is when we need to really scrub the floors is in the winter months when snow is being tracked all over the building, and there's only a certain amount of battery life in an auto scrubber, and I probably couldn't get it done in an 8-hour period with one machine. Because I'm gonna run it for about they're rated to run about 3 hours, and then you gotta put them back on the charger for 8 to 12 hours.
Okay.
So that's the problem, and that's why we need two.
Understood.
So are all three of these battery, John?
All three.
Well, there's 3 auto scrubbers. It says one is a walk behind and it doesn't
so
doesn't have a
walk-
price associated with it.
I might have forgot just to remove
There's
it.
two.
Yeah, I think I removed the one, if it doesn't have a price with the walk behind,
Right.
then I just forgot to remove it either. This was, let me tell you, a lot more extensive. This has been basically cut down to my absolute, what I believe are my needs. It's not my wants, it's my needs.
With the exception of that refrigerator stuff, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll stand corrected.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions from commissioners about items on the list? All right, if not, then I'm going to take public input on the requests.
Linda Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. I think that we are looking at this wrong. These things, $183,522.45 should not be coming out of John's 2027 budget. This all should be bought with the $53 million that were planned for that Justice Center. Every time we've talked about an item for the Justice Center, what do we hear? We're under budget. We're under budget. All these things are needed before you open that Justice Center. This is not for 2027. This is for now. And so John's budget shouldn't get hit with this amount of money. We are $8 million difference between our income and our expenses on the 2027 budget. This does not make sense. All this, $183,522.45 needs to come from the justice, the $53 million. And if you guys have gone over budget, you need to look at what you've spent already and cut back there. Do not make John spend this money in his 2027 budget, because we as taxpayers know you are $8 million over budget already before we even begin. Thank you.
John, it's fair and it's true that these all come out of the bond money.
Yeah, I think you might be confused. I've got two items on today's speaking. One's my 27's budget. This ask is out of the bond money.
Well, but it's in your budget. Right?
It's not listed in my budget request, no. So,
Other public input on the presentation and request.
can I add one more thing?
Please keep it short.
So just so you know, part of what Tegra did and what's normal for this process is basically the whole building's basic load, all the paper, all that usually comes out of the bond. I had already budgeted that in my 2026 budget, so I removed that out of this line item for the bond because I did have it already planned for in my 2026 budget. So that would have been an additional $10,000.
Thank you, John. Other public input?
Good morning, Scott Montgomery, Fairview. I think it's time we do look at every item. The $659 water coolers, we're $8 million, we're asking the taxpayers for $8 million more than what we got coming in. It's like, this is craziness. You know, it wasn't long ago we had a group of businessmen come in here and said, you need to leverage your debt. Lincoln County should be $100 million in debt. That's what those people got up and told you. And I think you're working towards that real hard. But you know, $1 million $1 bills stacked on top of one another is 358 feet tall. 8 million is 2,864 feet tall. Think about that. That's what you're asking Lincoln County residents to come up with. A stack of $1 bills, 2,864 feet tall. That's over half a mile. How about if we start cutting instead of spending? Refrigerators, whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous. If we got an old refrigerator upstairs, why wouldn't we take and utilize it? You know what'll happen to it when we tear that building down? They'll go to the dump.
There's an old saying, you watch your pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves.
So true.
Kelly Brack, T, South Dakota. So I can totally appreciate that we want to have nice things. We will have a nice justice center. And we could litigate whether or not the people of Lincoln County really actually needed or wanted the justice center, but that's a comment for another time. I get that. We want to have nice things. And typically, when you're building a house or anything, and people that are involved in the construction industry can tell you, sometimes it's easier just to install it when you are building out. But that also comes with an additional cost. So anytime you're doing a renovation, those involved in construction, no, it adds up. So I'm just wondering, now, I get it, we want to have nice things, but we don't have the money. You're asking us to struggle even more paying our bills, and that's not fair. I mean, we have to stop the bleeding here. If we're already $8 million over budget, I mean, come on now, let's rein it back in. There are other alternatives, but we need to have the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public input?
Dwayne Carlson, 29287 467th Avenue. As a taxpayer, we are looking to you to spend our dollars wisely. And when we see $8 million plus over the budgeting process, nobody in business operates that way. Why are we operating that way as a county? I also served a couple times on a grand jury, and we didn't have the facility. We were kicked out of the courtroom, and we did it in an office. And we brought our own water, and we got through it just fine. But there's no reason why we could just have some bottled water sitting on the floor that somebody could grab if they needed it. I mean, we're talking about small issues here with these refrigerators, but they're large when you start talking about the pennies and dollars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dwayne.
Any other input on the agenda item? All right. With that, I consider a motion.
This is a Cadillac courthouse on a Chevy budget. I move to approve the FF&E operational purchases less the top two line items. No refrigerators, no beverage coolers. That's my motion.
I second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion amongst the commission? All right, then, can I get a vote, please?
Commissioner Putnam?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes?
Aaron's?
Yes.
Otten?
Aye.
Landine?
No. Motion does carry. Next item on our agenda is a motion to allow Buildings and Grounds to accept a proposal from American Fence. Go ahead.
Okay, so this was a proposal that was approved last year. We moved forward, we had the contractor on site to install this fence. And then we kind of had some issues with the city of Canton wanting us to put it up. So after a few months of talking and discussing, we opted, there was a lot of different conversations going on with possibly some land swap and everything that really didn't come about. So we're just wanting to move forward with putting the fence up now again. And it did increase in price by a little bit, I think almost $1,000 actually. But that's basically it. It's not a non-budgeted item because it was in last year's budget.
Say, John, what happened to the building swap? Whatever become of that?
I just think that, I honestly don't know how it all played out, but I think there was some conversations with the city of Canton that maybe their commission wasn't really on board with it. I don't know. I myself wasn't necessarily totally on board with it just because of the fact that, again, my snow removal equipment's over there and it was better for me to drive it here than to try to trailer it here, like the John Deere tractor. And I could
Drive it now, but you'd have to trailer it.
Correct.
Okay.
And if I may, so when John was installing the fence, the city of Canton reached out to us about a possible swap for a building.
Yeah.
It just never came to fruition. The cost for us to get that building up to what meets our needs just wasn't going to work, so it fell through almost as soon as it
Okay.
started.
Unfortunately, just stalled us out long enough that we couldn't accomplish it last year.
All right, any other questions for John on the request regarding the fence? All right, if not, is there a motion?
Public input, Madam Chair.
Oh, yep, you're right. Public input on the fence.
Linda Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. That line item that we're talking about, last year, your budget was 32,000. Did that 25,000 get spent that you had initially put on for the fence? This year, your budget is 17,000. And I was wondering, driving by the maintenance lot out there, the big building out on Highway 11, would it be possible for you to work with the highway department and having be part of that fenced-in area, and we could save 17,000 towards the 8 million?
The other piece of this is there's a security piece going around the building, because the building's gonna hold potentially evidence in the form of you seize a vehicle during a traffic stop and they find some drugs and you gotta pull the vehicle. And so that's the other function that this is serving, okay? And you can't expose evidence in a court case to just throwing it out there in the middle of a, regular open parking lot or whatever. And then the other issue is we want to, at least I think it's okay to do this because you want to be sensitive to the people here in Canton as well. You don't want to have some junky looking impound parking lot place. You want to have the privacy fence around it so that it doesn't look so bad. I mean, I think that is a big concern, and I think there's been some comments from the public about the necessity for the privacy slats on it.
And if I may, Commissioner, just to add, that was part of the discussion with the city. They didn't want it to be an impound lot. It was for security purposes, for evidence storage, for the sheriff's office. So that was part of the discussion that we had with the city as well.
So what has the city decided? It was all right now to do it?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
All right, any public input on the fence? All right, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Got a motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Putnam?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Aaron's?
Yes.
Otten?
Aye.
Landine?
Yes, motion carries. Next item, board discussion and action on, for the future of the old courthouse building. Go ahead.
I guess that's was put on. I'm not sure where you guys were wanting me to go with it, to be honest. This conversation has been discussed multiple times.
Do you have either the demolition cost or the cost of doing what was proposed in what you had when we got done with that study that we did? From the engineer?
Yeah, we've got all the stuff we had briefed earlier. If you want me to pull it up, it's all listed in the files here.
Yeah, go through it, please.
Can I never know how to pull up the meeting files. Just right here is good. All right.
Yeah, there's,
You want to just go over the old courthouse summary? Okay.
no, not that one. Yeah, this one, start here.
I'll start here.
Yeah, start.
All right. So this is basically a wrap-up of when we met, and as a committee to decide what to do with the old courthouse. And we came up with multiple options. A short-term fix was a $400,000 to $500,000. That would be the immediate roof upgrades.
What was the price on that?
It was estimated to be $400,000 to $500,000.
Okay.
That did not get updated with engineering, I apologize.
What was the engineering cost to do the engineering, do you know?
We didn't really get an actual, to redesign this and come up with that replacement, we would have to pay for that, and I don't have an idea what that would be.
Okay,
I would anticipate it being probably $50,000 to $60,000, but that could be a lowball number, I don't know. So as we skipped over one of the previous ones, one of our previous conversations was with the engineer, and he said basically, if we do anything, we gotta bring it to code. And we had options there again, and again, so he'd either have to, or somebody would have to analyze each joint and determine whether the joint meets code and what the recommended fix for each joint would be, and then also recommend adding additional structural rafters and stuff. Well, then that also, part of his conversation that day was that opened up the can of worms then, that if you anticipated putting additional load and weight up there, you would also have to analyze the structural wall supports to see if they could handle the additional weight of the heavier roof. So it kind of opened up a can of worms. So we'll go back to this other. Option 2 was remodel with no full roof, which I don't remember why we had that. When I read back through this, I don't know why we'd remodel it without putting a full roof on. Maybe I guess maybe at that time we were just thinking about doing the structural supporting in that of it. Because that was before we had him come back and reanalyze the rafters. But that was $6.4 million to $8.5 million. And you can see the breakdown of the different parts of that. As you can imagine, there was a large contingency, and for any time that you're ever going to tear into an old building like that and start a remodeling process, there's going to be things caught, and so your contingency is going to be high. So, but if we decided to do the remodel with a full roof, which was an expected 20-year lifespan, that was going to be $9,600,000 or $600,000. Option 4 then.
Did that include the engineering?
Yeah, it says that it's got $1 million in for engineering and architectural.
Okay.
So then option 4 would be to demolish the old courthouse and put a facade up for about a $1.6 or $1.7 million, so $1,690,000. That's where we were estimating the demolition being anywhere from $225,000 to $350,000, because I reached out to 2 different companies and that was the 2 numbers I got. Big difference, I realize, but that was what I got.
Did that include the engineering?
Yes, they have $400,000 listed for engineering in that, and they had, what they don't have listed in that is anything with architectural, so I don't know if I would imagine we'd have to have some kind of architectural support too, but maybe that's included, maybe it just said engineering, I don't remember how we got that number, but. So then option 5 that we left on that was to leave the building as is with minimal utilities and keep further problems from developing. The problem with that is the roof's going to continue to leak, stuff's going to continue to fall off the walls, and there's going to have to be some degree of investment into leaving it standalone until we can decide what we want to do with it. And then I don't remember how option 6 came in there. Anyway, option 6 was listed as handing it over to the city of Canton and letting them use it for like their city hall or invest their money into it.
Have they expressed any interest in wanting to do that?
Not in my knowledge.
Has there been any outside organizations that were maybe interested in preservation?
Not in my knowledge.
That option 6, from my recollection of being on the committee, that was just one of the options that citizens wanted listed.
Right, I agree. I believe that is how that played out.
And the roof, even the roof is not in your current proposed budget, is that correct?
The current proposed budget that's for 2027?
Correct.
If you want to jump to that, there is a number in that budget for $2 million that would possibly cover the roof or the demolition.
But that's those restricted funds that we set aside, correct?
Correct.
All right, any questions by commissioners? Yep, go ahead, Commissioner Otten.
So, I looked through all this, all 200 and some pages of it all, and read it all. And this has been ongoing for a long time. This can's been kicked a long ways down a lot of roads.
Correct.
And I didn't figure that out just the last week, so. In any of the previous meetings, what avenues were explored for grants for historic preservation, either through the state or the federal government on this?
We've really never explored grants because it really doesn't meet historical preservation guidelines because it's been modified multiple times. To put it back to its original historic would be, the architect we originally had, Arc Inc., it'd be $20-30 million because it's just been modified so much. It's really designed, original design was very equivalent to the courthouse museum in Sioux Falls. Same architect, same design, pretty much same design. So if you've been in there, it would be quite the task of putting it back to that level.
Maybe I'll bootstrap on Commissioner Otten's comment there. Yeah, I've heard people over the years say it's not eligible for historic preservation grants. Maybe what you're getting at, though, is there any kind of grant whatsoever absent historic preservation? You know what I mean? And I don't have an answer to that question. Just throwing it out there as a potential source. And maybe we could task our commission administrative officer, Mr. Anderson, with taking a look into it. Give him a limited time frame to look into it, report back to us. That's one issue. That's one thing. The other thing here is, this is quite the pickle. You got, and it could constitute what I call, and I said this to John, if you demolish that thing, you potentially are creating a pretty significant emotional event for the community of Canton, maybe for the county. And maybe the numbers work out in the short term. 1.6 million to demolish and then fix the facade. But at the rate we're headed, there's going to be people who want more space. So 2 or 3 years down the road from now, people will say, I need some more square footage. I need to hire some people. I need somewhere to put them. We got nowhere to put them. And then we'll sit here and we'll say, well, geez, we just knocked down. How many square feet is that, John, of usable space?
I don't know.
Take a swag at it.
Yeah, I could
I was
find it.
I was gonna
say 70,000 as well, I think.
Yeah, 70, and Commissioner Otten, you're a builder. What's it gonna cost you to rebuild at today's dollars, 70,000 square feet of space? You know what I mean, right?
A whole lot more than $10 million.
Yeah. And so this is the classic conundrum that local governments get into is, do you fix the used car or do you buy a new one? Right?
Correct.
And that's what makes this a tough decision.
Correct.
I would say, though, that if you're going to knock down a historic courthouse, you better have the buy-in from the community. And I'll say this, we had like 2, 3, 4 meetings? 3? But we had a couple. We had plenty, and they were advertised, and the public came in. And I'll just tell you, there was no appetite from the community to want to tear it down. But now that means that there's positive and negative consequences to every choice, right? So the positive consequence is you get to keep your old nostalgic courthouse, and you get to keep 70,000 square feet of usable. That's the pragmatic part of it. But then the negative part of it is you got to pay for it. We got to figure out how we're going to pay for it. And I just think, I'll fast forward to the end, I just think 70,000 square feet of space is more easily achieved through the preservation of the courthouse than through demolishment and rebuilding in the future. That's where I'm at.
So you want to put 9.6 million on for a bond discussion, because that's how it'd have to be paid for?
Well, that's your view,
Well, bring a solution, Commissioner.
and you're, I don't know why you're so upset.
I'm not upset. I feel
Okay.
like you're just kicking the can down the road, just like everybody's done past. So
Well,
we're not going to do an
When-
opt-out for roads and bridges, but we'd have to do one to preserve that courthouse. So if there's no appetite to preserve and improve our roads and our bridges, how is there possibly an appetite to pay to renovate that courthouse?
I'll tell you
Because
why.
it's not a need, and you want to,
I'll
you're
answer the
telling
question.
everybody.
I'll answer it.
I'll let you know when I'm finished. You're telling everybody that you want to cut property taxes. So if you're going to cut property taxes, all these folks, all our departments, the only place they can cut really is with wages. So there's not going to be an increase in population of the employees if that's how you're going to proceed. So I think you need to pick a horse and ride it.
Thank you. You know, that really moved this discussion forward, didn't it, folks? What that really is that's just anger speaking. You want to confront me? Go ahead. But when you're ready to start doing the people's business here and start making these decisions, I'm here, ready to collaborate. Now, with regard to the roof upgrades, well, let me take a step back once. Let's address that. Roads and bridges. We were told last week that we're just going to maintain the roads and bridges, but then 2 new projects were proposed for a total of $3.5 million. 2 new projects. See, what you just heard there, folks, from your chairman is, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to pay for it? Well, there's $3.5 million right there, folks. See, what was proposed to the public just now, through that little speech, was that we're not caring for the roads because we don't want to build 2 new projects. No. First of all, the roundabout is not needed. Do I not care about the roads now because I just don't want to build a new roundabout? Well, okay. It's a scarecrow argument designed so that the person who makes the argument can blow it down. That's why they call it a scarecrow argument. The second road project down there in Hudson, I had no less than 5 people come up to me after the meeting and tell me they don't want it fixed. They like it the way it is. They don't need $1.5 million spent on removing the curves out of the road. So right there, you ask me how I'm going to pay for this thing? Don't do the 2 road projects that nobody asked for. Nobody came to this commission and said, fix that road down in Hudson and put a roundabout up in Sioux Falls. Nobody. The only people who are talking about that are the professionals who work for government. They're the ones who have been doing a lot of work on it. So, the way that I proposed and the testimony that we took when the committee met was to phase this in year by year. See, everybody thinks, you heard it there just now, folks, from your chairman. There's only one option, $9.6 million bond. It's not the only option. And the public knows that. The public is smarter than that. Again, it's another scarecrow argument designed to be blown down by the person who makes the argument. My plan would be, in order to preserve 70,000 square feet of building, is we have a phased-in approach. You spend X amount per year in order to do that. That's how you preserve the 70,000 square feet. So I would look towards folks like ARC Inc. to draw up the plan as to how to do phased-in construction to fit our budget. It's just like when you're a homeowner. When if you're a homeowner and you're gonna fix up and remodel your house, if you're a regular person, do you just do it all in year one? Write a check for $100,000 in year one? That's not how regular folks do it. Some might, but most don't. First, we'll do the kitchen in year one, we'll do the bathrooms in year two, we'll do the living room and the downstairs in year three. Well, I think you could do it in a similar way here, or at least I would hope you could. So, you asked for a solution, and I gave you one.
So how much do you want to spend this year in the budget for courthouse preservation?
Well, just like I said, I want to hear from ARC Inc., and I want to work with those guys or another similar type organization in order to help me walk through that plan.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
Have we had any study? We apparently now are running out of space here in the very near. Have we had any study that would substantiate that we will be running out of space here in the next 3 to 5, 7 years?
We built a new courthouse because we were running out of space.
We built a new court. We built-
$54 million.
Commissioner, please.
Please, you were finished, I'm talking now. We spent $54 million because we were told we needed more courtrooms, i.e. running out of space.
Go ahead, Commissioner Schmidt.
Well, you know, your sense of remembering what the Second Judicial District told us is that we would have to build a adequate facility to carry out justice, and if we didn't do that, they could commandeer this building. At least that's what I heard from Chief Justice Robin Howman. So we built something, okay? So we built something to last. I mean, we could have put a Morton building up, I suppose, you know, and had called it good. But we chose to be something that we have a courthouse that will last us for on infinitum. What I'm getting at is, do we have a study that says that we're going to need all of this extra space? I mean, is eminent need, is it out there? And if it is, then it makes good sense. But do we have that?
We did do a space needs study of the administration side, and in my opinion, we would be able to absorb it in the existing space that is emptied out by the state's attorney, courtroom 2B, and so forth, a few spaces that will be vacated with the new building. The only unknown in that was not discussed in that, is the public defender's office needs, future public defender's office needs, and that is an unknown, so.
One thing I want to go back to, Commissioner Schmidt has told this story for several years now, that Judge Howman came to him and told him they were going to commandeer the courthouse, I guess in his words. That was never stated in public, and that was never said to me. And I've asked Jim Gibbon if that was said to him. And so I just want to make sure I understand this for the public record, Commissioner Schmidt. Are you saying that the judges came to you and told you that they were going to commandeer, or something similar to that in their words, if we didn't vote on a new courthouse?
Well, what has happened in reality, Commissioner, is that this room is being used as a courtroom. So in effect, that has already happened.
Well, that's fine. I actually have done court in this room before because a courtroom was being used. That means we're running out of space. And that means we built the courthouse because we needed more space. Right? I mean, that's what I heard just now. I mean, words have meaning. But Commissioner Schmidt, Are you saying that's what a judge came to you and said that?
The judge never came to me and said that. That was something that was, I don't know, that was repeated many times and told to me, but if you're asking me to raise my right hand and validate, can I say that? No. But you can play all the games you want. Come on. I want to know, we got this building. You and I were on the same committee. We evaluated all of this. Now, you propose to do this very logical idea that we're going to do after ARC Inc. has come up with this plan and that we would do this. This is a deteriorating building over there. I mean, that thing isn't getting any newer. There's a lot of issues that are going to face that. Now, when you start rebuilding, remodeling a facility of that age, it isn't like you finished one step and it's going to stay there and then you're going to go through another step. I think that maybe Commissioner Otten can address that, but I think once you start with that, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, not a bad idea, it's just more detailed than what we have right now that would be the best policy. So what's in front of us today is, what do we want to put in our budget? What do you want to spend so that we stop the deterioration of that building now? So that's my question. I don't want to hear any more. I want to know, how much money do you want to support to put in that building to maintain what we have right now so that the deterioration does not continue, like the roof and the support beams and everything else? That is my question. How much money do you want to spend on that?
Great question. Let's hire ARC Inc. Let's put this amount of money into the budget. John, go to ARC Inc., ask them how much it costs to do the analysis for that, report back to us in the next 15 days, and then I'll be able to answer your question. How's that sound, Commissioner?
For me, why are we cherry picking ARC Inc.? Wouldn't the prudent thing to do be to put out an RFP for engineering bids?
I'm not opposed to that. Look, I have no pre-existing relation. I don't own stock in ARC Inc., okay? I just said that because that's who we've used for this project before. I have no problem doing a competitive bid process.
If you're saying that we want to go out and put an RFP to an architect to come in and give us an evaluation, of course. That's a prudent way of going about anything, so I would support that.
I think, excuse me, but I think 15 days never would happen. I think you
got all the time you want, John.
Yeah.
2 months, I'm saying, you know what I mean?
John, take more time then.
All right.
I'm just trying, somebody asked me, I gave them my opinion. I'm always willing to listen to the feedback.
Okay, and I'd like to add one more thing, just my own opinion a little bit in it. When it does come to remodeling an old structure, it is typically more expensive than building new and replacing. And the other thing that you do have to keep in mind with this is, you're stuck to the basic shell of the building and you're going to occupy it with that parameters, where if you did build new, you would build for what you need. And we don't really know what we need in there right now. So that's just my other 2 cents is, the benefit would be to have new, would be to build what we need at that time. But
Thank you, John.
That's my motion. We put out an RFP for architectural services to get these answers.
And who's going to put together the RFP on what that all entails?
John, are you able to put that together in conjunction with the state's attorney's office using previous RFP templates and shells?
yes, we could.
Don't we have to know what we want, though?
Well, I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a master builder to come in here and tell us what it's going to cost, right?
Again, I will tell you that the architect will ask the question, what's going in there?
Right. They're going to want to know what the plan is.
What if I told them that what's going to go in there is exactly what's in there now, for simplicity's sake?
So you're going to pay for an engineer and an RFP to do something that might not ever happen in the future.
The way
and then have
this,
to redo it.
the way this
re-engineer
commission,
it.
the way this commission works, that space will fill up.
All right, you made a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that then.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any public input?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Chad Skiles from Canton. And I am one of the citizen members of the Old Courthouse Committee that discussed all of these and basically came up with all of those options that we discussed earlier. I'm going to initially speak from the heart by saying we're talking about a building that has historical and sentimental value to a lot of people, yes, in Canton, but also in Lincoln County. Remember, that building was built in 1889, the year South Dakota became a state. You can't just throw away history. Now, the brain part of me is talking. We need to explore heavily the options, and I am going to agree 100% with Commissioner Aaron's option, which is let's look at it. Let's get an RFP out there. Let's figure out what we can do to save that building for all of the reasons that were listed. The history, the sentimental, the future needs of Lincoln County. And let's get a number and let's see. We are correct in saying that there are a lot of people who have an attachment to this old courthouse. There is no doubt about that. I'm asking this commission to explore the option of this. There's been discussion of, well, is this going to be all taxpayer money to restore, demolish, build, whatever? Or can we go out and find grant money? And the grant money option seems to be kiboshed really quickly because of the rationale that because that building has been modified so much over the years that it does not meet historical preservation requirements, therefore it's not eligible. Well, it's just not eligible for that specific type of grant. That's not saying that there aren't other grants out there and available. So I support wholeheartedly the commission office to look at that. Are there options? Are there grants out there? Why not a combination of grant funding, whatever we can take in from that, along with county tax money to restore and keep that historic part of Lincoln County. I'm on public record on more than one occasion, and Commissioner Schmidt has also related this story about me, that I would be the guy chained to the wrecking ball to save that old courthouse. And obviously that's the sentimental, that's my heart talking there, not my brain. But we need to pivot back to what this specific agenda item is about and stop with the infighting and the rhetoric. That is destroying the potential future of a beautiful old building. And so I'm just asking that this tension amongst the commission stop. Please refocus on what we are really dealing with here, which is a beautiful old building that needs help. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. John, do you think, a question after that, John, do you think if we did the RFP out just to turn that into a shell space, because we don't have a plan for what we might need it for in the future, do you think that's something that you could work with?
I believe so.
And then we would just close it off until we needed it to figure out what we're gonna do with it?
In my mind, I think that should work. There's obviously interior walls that would have to remain, so,
The
weight-bearing
support walls?
But I believe it could be written that way.
Okay, thank you. All right, more public input?
Kelly Brack T, South Dakota. So I do agree with taking it out to bid to look at all options. I think it's a shame that we want to tear down a historical building, especially if it's built in 1889. That's a significant date. I understand historical buildings are very expensive. We have a new building that's very expensive as well, and yes, we needed new space, and I'm not going to hammer on that. However, if the people of Canton truly want to save the courthouse, there doesn't seem to be any reason why the community couldn't get involved in sharing some of the expense, whether fundraisers, or let's be creative and try to have creative solutions instead of putting it all on the taxpayers' back. And yes, grants could certainly be part of that. I see a disturbing trend across the state wanting to tear down the historical courthouses, and I just don't think it's good for morale. And if the people truly want to save their courthouse, then give them the opportunity to prove that. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, the numbers that you showed up here earlier, where did they come from?
I believe it was a little bit of a combination of multiple things. Asking architectural point of views, and also when we talked to Hugendorn Construction.
Okay, yeah, Hugendorn was one of the
They were
people that
heavily,
came
yes,
in, yeah.
correct.
Hugadorn
Yep.
was consulted about this, and they gave these estimates.
Said that. Okay, John, thank you. Time for Scott.
Scott Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. There was some engineering prices put together back in 2020, and this commission chose to do nothing with those. They didn't even put the gutters on. The water sat there and drained around this foundation for the last 5 years. It was as if you guys were intentionally wanting to destroy this building. Why wouldn't we have John and his people take and put those gutters so water goes away from the building? No. The picture's 5 years ago, and when I was on that committee, we're still laying there not attached. What in the heck is going on here? And you try to tell me that we're doing everything we can to preserve this. No, you're not. These numbers that John presented clearly lean towards tearing this building down. That's what it's designed for, to get everybody on board, let's just destroy this thing. The thing that really bothers me is when you say you won't put your hand on a stack of Bibles about what was repeatedly told here, that we were going to lose this courthouse if we didn't build courtrooms. You told us repeatedly, and now today I say, I couldn't say that on a stack of Bibles. That disgusts me no end. And why didn't we build a Morton building? This is for courtrooms that normally are not used. How many days a week are these courtrooms full? Anybody answer that? Normally not full at all. So we go out and spend $54 million to build 4 courtrooms that aren't going to be full in the future either. We could have built a Morton building for 10% of that and used it for the criminals. This is a criminal justice center. Why are we building this thing in great, big, historic, beautiful building to try the criminals? Why wouldn't we put them in a Morton building? It just drives me crazy, especially when you led the public to believe that we were going to lose this courthouse if we didn't go out there and do that. Thank you.
Doug McKinney Canton. I was on the committee also, and I don't have my numbers with me, but when I figured out all the square footages, this building here with the new addition in the old courthouse was 62,000 square feet. The Justice Center is 82,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet more than what's here. You got more than enough room for everything here to fit out there. And another thing, Carla Goslin with the Department of Equalization stood up here at a presentation, said she was running out of space. She needs more space because she talked about building out. There you go, you're already starting to fill it up already.
Linda Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. I'm in agreement with Chad and the rest. I like the idea of let's look and relook at this. And I also think one thing we're leaving out of the equation is the private sector. How many offices or businesses would love to rent a space like that building? You know, I don't believe that we got the building, but I believe that it can be incorporated into a lot of different things. We've never really even offered it to the public to think about what revenue can the public bring to it. Would they want to come? You build it, they will come, is a thing that we already have it. It's a beautiful building. It's a historic building. I do want it saved. I realize that I like the phase plan. We can't expect to go in there and remodel the whole thing until we know how we want to use this. What do our people who are already here going to need? And I think we need to look to the public of, would you want to have this remarkable space and rent it from the county? We bring in revenue and pay for the update. Thanks.
John, what is the actual square footage of that? I keep hearing square footages and it's just nothing right.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. I'd be guessing.
Guessing, I mean, is it 50,000 square foot?
Again, I should have had that prepared. I just didn't have it.
Well, we'll find out next time. I'm sorry to cut anybody off. Go ahead and talk.
Dwayne Carlson, 292-87467. I think we need to be good stewards of what we have. We have a beautiful old courthouse that needs some repairs. We need to do what is necessary to keep it from deteriorating anymore and preserve what we have. Don't let that beautiful woodwork go to waste in there. If you cordon that off and just shut off the heat and electricity to that portion of it, it'll deteriorate immediately. That cannot happen. We need to take care of that building. Take some of the money that would have been for these roads, these roundabouts and this Hudson project, and use that money to start with the preservation of our courthouse. Thank you.
Anyone else want to come up? All right, if not, we've got a motion and a second on the table. If there's no further discussion, Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam?
What are we,
You seconded the motion, Commissioner.
for what?
You tell me.
It's been a long time since we've been talking here.
Commissioner Aaron's, you want to repeat your motion for Commissioner Putnam?
Yeah, it's a motion to put out a request for proposal or request for bids to an architectural company in order to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'm all for it. Yes.
So that's your second?
I'll second the second, and then I'll say yes to the motion.
All right, Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Aaron's?
Yes.
Otten?
Aye.
Landine?
Yes. Motion carries. All right, next item. Ordinance imposing gross receipts tax and use tax for Lincoln County. Commissioner Schmidt, go ahead.
This ought to be popular. I have, as you know, Governor Roden and the state legislature proposed to give counties the option to enact a half-cent sales tax solely for property tax relief. And it is up, the original bill, and I will say, Commissioner Aaron's, when we were first starting that, I remember you saying very clearly, you see how we would refer that to the people, which I'm very much in favor of. But in order for the people to be able to vote on yea or nay whether they want to enact a sales tax, a commission has to approve the tax itself. And then it can be referred by the people to a public vote. So I'm looking at this as if we're talking about property tax relief, and we continually hear it over and over and over again, that we want to cut property taxes, this is an opportunity for a county to do that. Now, there are many arguments for it. The constituents that I represent are very much in favor of that and, want that to take place because it would lower property taxes. How much percent? You can toss numbers from 20 to 40%. I think that Lincoln County, if I'm correct, Madam Auditor, is what, $12 million? Is that projected the state has, Sherry?
That is the number the state put out.
So if you look at a $12 million influx of revenue coming in, and your revenue coming out of taxes is about $20 million, you see a very, very significant amount of reduction in property taxes. Now, there are those that would say not everybody benefits from that renters do not benefit because they don't get a break because their landlords have determined the price of what rent they're going to charge. On the other hand, if you're a renter, you use the same roads that owner-occupieds do. You use the same services that owner-occupied. So this is an opportunity for this county to pass this if we want. I'm not proposing that today. I mean, today was designed for discussion. But you got to understand that then it could be referred by the people and you could have a vote. And the one thing we're not talking here today, and I'm not demeaning any of you, but remember, we have a population approaching 80,000 people. We got a lot of people up there lived inside the boundaries of the city of Sioux Falls that pay a huge proportion of the property taxes that maintain your roads, maintain your bridges, clean your highways, that get no benefit from that at all. Now, they're not complaining, they're not saying anything, they go, they pay their taxes, they do their voting, they go about business. So sometimes it gets rather difficult when I sit here and I listen to the fact that we, in the southern part, you don't get representation. If you will look back at the amount of time this commission spends on the southern part of our county, it's a huge proportion more than we spend on the north. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but just being fair and looking at the facts themselves. And when we look at things, for example, to have enough money to maintain our sheriff's department, to maintain our PSAP system, to maintain our highways, we got to understand that there's a lot of people out there. And when it comes to cities, we heard a lot today about how we didn't vote right. Well, the citizens of Canton, the citizens of Lenox, the citizens of T add up to a huge amount, and I've never heard one way or the other on them. They went about their business. So what I'm going to talk about is I'd like to know from the commission where they are on this property tax situation, because I think that we should take some action, and I'm personally in favor of it, along with the fact that you can refer it, but I think it can have a huge significant amount on property tax reduction, and that's something everybody is campaigned on and wanted and things like that. So that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, now, Jim, the city of Sioux Falls takes care of the northern, or the northern part of the county here. The county people are on the southern part. You talked about T. They're not in District 2. Neither is any of that stuff up there, and the city takes care of that. They take care of the roads, they take care of everything, because they took it over. So there's no sense in even talking about that. We're here to take care of everything, basically, District 2 and T and the rest of them, but that is where we have to put our focus on, only because the city of Sioux Falls is city of Sioux Falls. We can't go in there and say, hey, city of Sioux Falls, we want to build a bridge. No, because they're building the bridges. We got to worry about what's going on down here.
But where does the
That's
money
it.
come from? Where do your taxes come from?
It does.
I mean, who pays the taxes?
So in other words, we should take, if the bulk of the money comes up north here in the city of Sioux Falls, then we should take that bulk of that money and go to Sioux Falls and say, here, Sioux Falls, take that money, because them people give them, they're paying taxes into Sioux Falls. There's no longer a townships. That money all goes to the city of Sioux Falls now. Our roads go up to Sioux Falls, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, but Doug, we all pay taxes, whether
They
we live
do,
in
they
Lincoln
do.
County, and we got a budget. Where it goes, that's our decision. So when you say.
Well,
citizens
you already
of Sioux
took
Falls
care
pay
of that.
taxes, Yeah. they pay.
We didn't worry about the District 2 and the people that wanted to do that. You guys decided that amongst yourselves and put Herman in there, and by God, he's gonna vote with you guys. It'll work. And
Well, that has nothing to do with it. I'm talking about
that has
taxes.
everything to do with it.
Doug,
What is the taxes? Okay, now, you talked about the taxes. What is sales tax? Because I didn't quite catch it. How much sales tax is in Lincoln County?
The state estimated 12 to 13 million.
Okay, now that's at 0.5%. Is that true? So we'd end up.
That is what the state estimated.
Okay, on 0.5 cent in Lincoln County. That seems hard to believe, but it could be. You know, and so what is the savings of every homeowner occupied home?
The projected savings on a $325,000 home are 12% or $579.
In 2025, the owner-occupied taxes in Lincoln County total about $12,068,291.
So that would eliminate
To 245.
pretty much 2/3 of the taxes of every homeowner and
I got the.
homeowner.
So-
in-
To be specific, the
96
Department of
is the
Revenue
whole
estimated Lincoln County to have $13,490,570 of sales tax.
Yeah.
So the owner occupied for the general fund is $12,068,291. So that would eliminate the owner occupied general fund for the owner occupied in
SB
Lincoln County.
245. It was
Now,
245 again.
the
For the
biggest problem with most of the
245.
people that live in the
Yeah.
cities
Okay.
and the county isn't really the county sales tax or the county property tax, it's more into the schools. The schools are the large part of everybody's tax base. And 30-some years ago, we voted for gambling. And that was gonna alleviate this whole deal, help the schools out. But that all money went somewhere else, poof, it was gone. Yeah. And so we lost out. We got hosed again. I don't know, I don't like having a tax to take care of a tax, but, I mean, I would be for it with the numbers, because I guess instead of saying, we're gonna alleviate your county tax problem, it's gonna really just alleviate some school money, if you wanna get right
This
down
isn't
to
gonna
it.
alleviate anything to do with the school, it's only the county portion of
know
your
that,
taxes. And
but
I
you
want
can
you to
put
be
it-
sure that you
you can
understand
talk-
that I am
you can
only
say
giving you an
anyhow you
estimate, you're
want
not
it
gonna
to.
nail me to it.
Yep.
Sherry, you want to go ahead and repeat what you just said?
He said it would only eliminate the owner-occupied county taxes. And if it was over the amount of owner-occupied taxes,
Yeah.
it would start going into the ag and
Yep.
the other equally.
Yep.
But just so you keep in mind, I am giving you estimates based on 2025.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't come to fruition, it is not the auditor's fault.
So we've grown by about 20%, 30% since then, so, you know, that will be less.
Other discussion amongst the commission? All right.
I think we should schedule this up for a vote, and I think the way that we should look at scheduling this for a vote is, well, first of all, we should do it at a nighttime meeting. That way, it gives the highest probability for the public to attend and provide their feedback, you know, and here's the reason I say that, is there was a state senator by the name of Amber Hulse. She had a bill for the last 2 years that dealt with taxpayer notice. It provides a notice to all taxpayers if a local unit of government is going to raise their taxes. Now, the way that this SB 96 works is that it will raise your sales tax, but it will lower your property tax on owner-occupied. Okay? That's the way it's supposed to work. Now, the reason I mention Senator Hulse is she had a fantastic bill that stated that anytime the government wants to raise your taxes, it should have to give in her estimation, she said a 21-day notice to the public. And then it also contained some provisions for providing, you gotta mail a notice to the entire public. Now, her bill, I think unanimously passed in the Senate, but it got shot down in the House for the last 2 years. And the biggest opposition to that came from the school districts because they didn't think that they should have to provide notice to the taxpayers 21 days in advance when they want to do an opt-out. Now, I don't know, you know, we could maybe quibble with how much time the notice should be and all of that. But I think, even though that bill didn't become state law, that we ought to adopt parts of it. And because we're going to implement a sales tax increase, but also a property tax decrease on owner-occupied, I think we should give plenty notice to the public and schedule it up for a vote 21 days out. That way it gives the public full ample opportunity to call us and all that. So what I would suggest is that we set this for a vote at our August nighttime meeting. And then that way, we've lived up to the spirit of what that Senator Hulse was trying to do, taxpayer bill of rights type stuff, taxpayer notice, and I think we should schedule it for that August nighttime meeting. Thank
Commissioner
you.
Aaron's, if I might,
Yes.
it would be an ordinance from the county, so there would be two readings, the first reading and the second reading. I agree with you going out to August, but would you want us to prepare the ordinance, do it out of what's in the handbook for the ordinance, present it at the next commission meeting, and then set it up for the hearings, in the same fashion that we do ordinances now?
Yeah, I think I can live with that, and I'm open to hearing what the other folks have to say as well.
Other commissioners?
I've got one more question on homes.
Go ahead.
To clarify, occupied owner homes, and now what about farmers that own quarter land with a home on it? Is that part of this?
If they're owner occupied, it would be.
What the home would be worth, because there's probably a worth in there on everybody.
Owner
So
occupied,
every
yes.
owner occupied farmhouse would then be part of this. Yeah, good enough. I want to know that.
And I think if we structure this right and give enough notice, both in terms of time and quantity of notice, that will give enough opportunity for the public to come in and ask those same exact questions.
All right, anything further? All right, any public input on our board discussion?
Dwayne Carlson, 292-87467. I'm a business owner, and this would affect me tremendously. If you look at the payment information there, it looks to me like payments are to be made to the county twice a month. That is unrealistic for a small business owner to go ahead and have another pressure put on them like that. Once a quarter is what the state does. It needs to be once a quarter, just like the state. There are so many business owners that are going to oppose this. I think it's great. We have an opportunity to move the taxation from our local people and make sure that it gets spread out to those doing business. That I think it was a good idea to do that, and but the way it's structured here, I don't believe it's going to fly with most business owners.
What were they, say that again, what were they
So
wanting to
under the
do?
payment
Propose?
information, the payments are to be made to the county twice a month.
Twice a month?
Twice a month, right. That's unrealistic.
Well, yeah, that is unrealistic.
Can I clarify that? You as a business owner are not going to be making the payments to the state twice a month. You're going to file your tax return the way that, your sales tax
Right.
returns the way you always do.
Yep.
The state will be dispersing whatever they collected the month before within two payments.
Okay.
That's not the way I read it here. Thank you for that clarification,
Well,
because
yeah,
the way
that
it
makes
read
more
here,
sense,
that
yeah.
we would be responsible, that it says in here, do not send your payments to the Department of Revenue, to send it to the county.
No, you will not send your sales tax to the county. You will send it to the Department of Revenue.
Okay,
I think what they're talking about there is the county doesn't send it. I'll have to read it more on that specific, but my understanding is there will be no change in how you file your sales tax.
right, that's the way this reads, that we won't be sending that sales tax for the county to the state.
You
You'll
will
be
be.
sending it to the county in two payments, is the way it
You'll be
reads.
sending it to the state, because then the state's gonna get their cut, and then they're gonna send it to us.
That makes more
That doesn't
sense.
make any sense at all, because this is a county-by-county deal.
But the city sales tax goes to the state also.
Right. So it'll be set up like the city sales
Yes.
tax? Okay.
My
Thank you for that
understanding.
clarification.
Yep, that's my understanding of it.
All right,
Because all kinds of different businesses are on different schedules.
right.
Some pay the monthly, some pay the quarterlies, some only pay twice a year. You know, July and January or whatever it is. So, I collect sales tax, Dwayne. I'll have to do this.
Yep.
You know, so I know how it works.
I think it's a great deal.
Yeah.
But just don't put that onto an individual twice a month.
Yeah, and I think that's accurate. So
No, it couldn't be.
doing these notice provisions for when we want to implement this will allow plenty of time to be able to take questions and concerns and then knock each of them down, you know, confirm them or deny them. That's the whole point of why we should have taxpayer bill of rights. We should have ample notice of opportunity before implementing this thing. And it doesn't even become, just so folks know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we got to like January, right, Sherry? Or
Well,
December-ish?
you have to have it past 90 days before you want it implemented, and they implement in January and July. So,
September?
yep, so you'd want
Okay.
it passed because then there's a lot of behind-the-scene works that the county has to do. We have to get the listing of all properties and everything to the state. So it's not pass it in December, get it in January. It's
Okay.
at least 90 days before I'd say before the end of the year.
So there
For
you go.
implementation in January.
There you go. September, if you want to do it for, because it doesn't become available until the next tax year,
You
correct?
won't even see the credit on your account or on your taxes until 27, pay 28.
28, yeah.
Okay.
Because we'll collect the sales tax through 27. Then the auditor will have to look and see what the ratio is, give you a percentage if we didn't meet the whole owner occupied, and then give the credit on the tax statement. You'll see the credit on the tax statement. But yeah, so it would be 27, pay 28 taxes before it even happens.
Well, that's a good explanation then.
All right, public comment?
Still, please.
Go ahead.
Commissioners Linda Young from 630 South James Avenue in T, South Dakota. And I think, for me, I'm a county taxpayer. I pay $1,000 for the county taxes on my portion. You can find that right on your website. Very easy to look at for my owner occupied. I think you have to look at the numbers and this is going to do. So the easiest way for me to do that is just compare. I do have a bunch of spreadsheets for you to look at so you know what I'm talking about. You can take a look if you choose to, and maybe choose to do them up there. But I took a look at property in T, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other properties in the county. And my current property tax bill, if you choose, this one.
There you go, so they can see what you're working on.
There you go. If you want to right size it.
There, they can see what you're.
Okay, so you'll see, I took a look at my home right here, 602, and I pay of all taxes, $9,000 is my tax bill. You can find that information here, and of course, I pay 8 bonds for the City of T School District, which I qualify as voluntary taxes because we voted. We said we wanted to do that. So that's my tax bill, and it's broken down in there to $1,060 for the county portion. When I talked to Sherry yesterday, we came up with a number, or at least it was reported earlier, somewhere 97% to over 100%. I've used 97%. So if you enact this tax based on that information, my new county portion that would come directly from my tax dollars in my mortgage, like everybody else, is $31. The rest of that actually comes from the sales tax being generated at a half cent. So then what I looked at is how much would I need to spend to take up that savings? I would need to spend $205,000 to come up and really meet that. I don't have an extra $200,000. So I looked at other folks. Sioux Falls 1 is a house, Sioux Falls 2, rural Lincoln County. It's all applied the same for owner occupied. And you can see if you live in Fairview and your house is at a $96,500 value, you're going to pay $5. If you live in Lenox, you're gonna pay $15. So this really does impact my sales tax, or my property tax. It's real, and when you add that into what the state's doing with the school taxes, we're gonna get even a bigger reduction. So, please take a look at it. The remainder of the dollars on the bottom half here, this 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, all the way to 100,000, that's what I would have to spend in Lincoln County for my funds, and it would generate this $500 to go back to the county. Well, I don't know a lot of extra people that, once again, have an extra $50,000 to spend. I certainly don't. So please look at this. Please understand that just because I live in T and I don't utilize the services as much as people down here, that I don't pay a huge cost for that. So when you say that I don't pay taxes on my bill, or I should just pay them, or the city pays them all, no, they don't. They do not. I pay for the sheriff's office, I pay for standing in line to get my license plates, planning and zoning, and all those other things. So please understand and educate yourself where my $1,000 goes. Am I getting a good deal? I don't know sometimes. This morning, I'm not sure that I'm getting a good deal. I wish I was getting a better deal. You can help me and every taxpayer here get a huge reduction in their property taxes. And then my savings that I spend back in the system is all voluntarily spent, not forced. Any questions?
Now, you're talking about just the schools, not forced, it's voluntary.
What's that?
The school portion of your tax.
The school portion of my taxes are listed here. There's 8 little checks for the bonds, which were voluntarily put out. We voted on them, and we as a group decided that was okay. But the other $1,000 on there for the county portion, like I said, is the one, and it's right here, your own documentation. That's what I'm looking at. How do I get that reduced? This is a mechanism. And I'll never spend the savings, or I'll spend the savings, but I have to spend so much more so many more dollars to actually wiggle that out. It's all in the numbers. You just gotta look at the numbers. And I don't think there's this person out here that's got a mortgage that would say this is a bad idea. And I understand that this will impact businesses, and I understand that it will impact renters, but they utilize services too, and we have a representative government. Go petition the state legislature and go tell them, hey, this wasn't fair, can we fix this? Often during legislation, it's not perfect the first time. It takes an opportunity or a session or two to get it right, but let's not overlook this. Let's not look at the positives that can give everybody in this room. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public input? All right, if not, then we're gonna move on to our, you need a 5-minute break? We need a 5-minute break, so we will break until 5 minutes to 11. Everybody take their seat.
I thought it was like $1 million.
Yeah.
$10 million.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting back to order.
Order in the court.
Next item on our agenda is our commission budget work session.
Before we get into the budget, can I just make a couple comments?
Go ahead.
The item that I attached to the agenda for the changes to the original presented budget, I actually had an error in there. The jail health insurance went from 70, nope.
You got a page, Sherry?
Nope, it's the attachment that says changes from the original presented budget.
Okay, gotcha.
I had in there that it was, my computer's not working with me. Anyway, the jail health insurance budget number that I said changed was wrong. What's in the documents I gave you is the correct number. They're also, after discussion with Human Resources and the Sheriff's Office, there is going to be 2 more changes to the budget. Inadvertently, the fees and contracts under Human Services should be $5,000. the wellness should be 131,000, and the professional fees should be 12,000. Right, Carrie? Okay. Then on the sheriff, with the passing of the new TASER contract, we need to add $15,000 to furniture and minor equipment in the sheriff's budget, and 10,000 to furniture and minor equipment for the jail budget. I'll make all these corrections along with any other ones that you make today and present it to you again and then we'll have it on the next agenda with the other corrections.
Thank you. All right, it's our budget work session. Paul, you got a presentation?
No, I was
or-
just moving
Okay.
this. All I can say is up to you, whatever you would like to see. Department heads are here. If you have specific questions, so feel free to work away.
All right, our department heads are here by request of a particular commissioner, or did everybody just show up? I just want to make sure that,
Mix of both. I think everyone wanted to be here, but then also Commissioner Putnam had requested that the department heads were here to answer any questions that came up.
okay. Commissioner Putnam, you have questions for our department heads about their budget requests? That'd be a good place to start since they're here.
Oh, so many, so little time.
Hey, I could start.
Go ahead.
Got a question for Sherry. Sherry, do you think that, first of all, I'll just preface it with this to everybody. You know, I may ask some questions based upon some things I've seen, and maybe that'll prompt some discussion, okay? So Sherry, do election workers need more training? And do we need to maybe, and you don't have, it's more of a rhetorical, but you can answer it, but there's been some things that have happened recently. And what I'm wondering is, do we need to maybe, my guess is, it's a very small line item to bring election workers in for what, maybe another hour or two to get some training? I'm just trying to stimulate some discussion here to see.
Absolutely. We do bring them in for 2 hours before every election for training. You guys want to come in and see the training, you sure can. But we do have a PowerPoint that we give them. We go through the whole election day process. It's about 2 hours. So I don't know, besides human error, what else we could train them on.
Yeah, I mean, so, just so folks know what we're talking about, there, in this recent Sioux Falls mayoral race, it was discovered that in several of the precincts, the ballots didn't contain a stamp, and basically that could be a human error issue. And what I'm wondering is if more training or more assistance of some kind could help alleviate those problems. And
I'm not sure what they did
Yeah.
for training in the city of Sioux Falls election, but prior to every one of our elections, we do a training with the deputies, and then we do a training with the superintendents.
did the city of Sioux Falls for the runoff election, did they use, I'm just going to put this in scare quotes, your superintendents?
There are several superintendents. I mean, there's only a handful of really precinct workers that are out there available to do it anyway, so they're used in all elections.
Okay.
I'm not sure without knowing who is there, which I don't know off the top of my head, if they're ones we've used before.
Okay.
Are those a line item under elections, under personnel services, Sherry, the training?
Under personnel services would be the wages that we pay them for the day. That would include the $25 that we pay them to come to election school. As you can see, for the 2027 budget, there is no items budgeted for that because we don't plan on having any elections.
Okay. Next question I have is, under judicial, third line item down, CAA conflicts. The budget in 2026 is currently $299,000, and it's jumping up to $470,000. I'm wondering if someone could speak to that. That's a total increase of $171,000 for next year.
There might be two parts to that. It might be that in '25, we spent $427,000. It might be that in '26, at this point, we've already spent $274,000. It might be that our contracts are gonna be different. We're hoping to have a public defender's office in place. It might be just, do a 3-year average, and it came up to be that much more.
Okay.
I guess I can speak to that too, Commissioner.
Yeah.
You do have RFPs and can't speak to it generally yet, but you'll have a chance to review those. So, I mean, quite frankly, we're hoping to eliminate that line item altogether, so it would just be under a one blank PDO contract. So we're hoping that would be zeroed out in the future.
Thank you. And I thought there was maybe, that was part of it. Additionally, under the judicial section here, you know, and I just want to give some preparatory comments here. I went out to the GOP convention. Tom Woolman was there too. Sherry was there. Herman was there. Because there's no other candidate running for Attorney General, the person who the Republicans elected will become the next Attorney General, and that's Lance Russell. And what Mr. Russell talked about, he's currently a state's attorney for Fall River County, and he brought up this issue of uncollected fines, fees, and restitution. Do we know how much Lincoln County has got hanging out there for uncollected fines, fees, and restitution? If you don't, that's fine. I'm just raising the issue to flag it, and maybe we can chase it down.
Are you talking in the fines on the court side? Yeah. so I
Tom,
wouldn't know
maybe
that.
you can help me out here. You're probably the subject matter expert on this. But one of the big issues that the Attorney General-elect, if you will, was discussing was this issue of the impact that it has on counties. And we never really see it talked about in our budget here, other than the fact that we include line items for fines and forfeitures and some of that. And what I was wondering is, I know it's not a silver bullet, it's not going to fix the budget issues, but I wanted to flag it because now the next Attorney General has elevated the issue to a statewide one, and I just wanted to find out how much Lincoln County has hanging out there. That's all. And I don't need an answer today or anything like that, but I wanted to flag that as an issue of maybe we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars hanging out there that maybe we need to look into different collection methods, or maybe we're not even attempting to collect it, or, you know, because as I understand it, the policy is, and Tom, please correct me if I'm wrong, the policy has kind of shifted over the last few years. There's really no judicial, and I shouldn't say no judicial enforcement, but as I understand it, the process has kind of changed from one where the judges will enforce it to now where the counties, the burden is on them, correct? And if that's a huge, you know, it's like any business owner. If you've got a huge amount of uncollected revenue out there, you're always going to zero in on that. And you're going to say to yourself, hey, maybe we need to look at that. So that's all. That's what I'm trying to flag. Treasurer's office had a question. I've noticed you look at other current expenses, supplies and materials. Back in 2025, the supplies and materials were $23,000. In '26, that jumped up to $37,000, and now it's dropped down to $35,000. And Franny's not here, so I'm just. No, it's okay. Hey, she's not here, that's fine, we can move on. I think I know the answer to that. I think it's because of the whole thing where the state kind of did this unfunded mandate issue where they made us have to send out the license plates or something like that. But I wanted to find out, I thought there was a bill or something that got passed that was supposed to reduce all of that.
So I can maybe speak a little bit on this. On the supplies and materials, that includes her postage. So when we did the tax statement billings, we included a flyer for all the, words are working not in my favor today. The flyer that says the tax freezes and programs that are available to taxpayers. So we included that, so she upped the postage. She might have realized the actual cost wasn't as high as she thought it was, so then she brought it back down.
Yeah, okay.
But I think mailing out the license plates, they've got a fee in there for the postage for mailing out the license plates. So that, I don't think that's included there.
Well, thank you. Next question, State's Attorney's Office, line item number 1, salaries and wages. I see that for next year, there's $182,000 and change increase. Are new FTEs being requested, or is that just because of natural increase in
In all the
wage
departments,
scale?
the first thing I'm going to say is the personnel should really be glanced over right now, since we don't know where the pay study or anything else is. But with I'm sorry, Tom, if I'm speaking over top of you, the state's attorney did request a paralegal and a deputy state's attorney in the budget.
Okay. Okay, that answers that question. And then public defender, we talked about that just now, so I guess more to follow on that, right? General government buildings, John, I saw an increase from 20, in 25, your salaries were 497K. This year, they're 553, and then next year, they're 694. Do you see that, line item 1? Are you requesting in that 27 budget, does that include 2 FTEs? And I want to say that's to cover down on the new courthouse?
Oops, sorry. John Romble, Building Superintendent. So I have 1 FTE that starts late this year, and I budgeted it that way. So let's call that a 3/4 increase for that FTE for this year. And yes, I requested an additional one for next year, and that is for covering the additional needs at the Justice Center.
And then the increase on insurance and utilities line item is to add in for the new courthouse, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And you can only imagine, I put a lot of thought into the utilities, but it's still a little bit of a guessing game because it's a big building.
Yeah, gonna be a big bill. Thank you. That's all I had for you, John. Thank you. I appreciate it. Under, next one I had is Register of Deeds. Bottom paragraph, charges for goods and services. I see that we're just basically anticipating, Becky, a increase in the number of parcels that get recorded there. I see you going from 311 to 350.
Which line item is this, sorry?
Oh, it's 4 up from the bottom.
Of my general,
Charges for goods and services.
With the revenue?
or revenue?
Yeah, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4th, I called it paragraph, but I guess 4th category down.
Making sure I'm looking at the same as you are. What was the,
Oh, yeah,
You have
my
the
question.
number?
So back in 2025, you brought in 311,000 in revenue.
okay,
And your belief is you're gonna bring 350 in this year?
yes, I actually, sitting here, I actually made a note to possibly drop that if if it doesn't go up this year. I think we've been low for quite a few years, and I think I just keep hoping it's gonna be off. Adding the revenue COVID kind of
Yeah.
really messed up that trying to, because we had a few years where it was huge revenue in our recordings with all those. I'm hoping from what we have already this year that we will make that mark because we're just right in the middle probably of our busiest time,
Yeah.
But I'm hoping for that, but I even here made a note to make sure to drop that next time if my revenue this year does not get to that point.
Thank you. That's all I had on that one. On page 16 of 61, there's a expense category called Department 4167 Insurance.
That would be the liability insurance that we have to pay every year. It doesn't really necessarily get broken out by department because it's for all claims that were paid.
Is that liability insurance for errors and omissions or for vehicles or?
Not for vehicles. Vehicles get split out by departments. It's
Yeah.
for the liabilities on the claims that we paid.
Okay. Thank you. Under GIS, fees and contracts, other current expenses, I noticed in 2025, you were at 44,000, and then this year's budget is 50, and then we jumped to 110,000 next year for an increase of $60,000. Yes, sir. Wondering if we could talk about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, Dave Dixon, GIS Director. Fairly new department head after John Peters' retirement, so kind of new going through this budgeting process. As I went into the role, I just kind of took stock of, what I felt we needed as a department. So within the fees and contracts, there's a few things there. One is currently we do a flight, an aerial imagery flight every other year. And we've had some feedback from different departments as well as citizens that would like to see that become an annual flight. So that's a big chunk of the increase there. Additionally, there are some contractors that would help us kind of get more up-to-date best management practices and efficiencies within the office. And then one is a contractor helping us move to the next-gen 911 system. So that's currently happening at the state level, and we have a contract to do that for both our county and Turner County. So the state contracts through GeoCom, and they can also provide additional services, which I have in the budget here, to help us move from the current analog system to a digital one. And that's to make the transition for the 911 call center to ensure that we have a high level of accuracy. Prior to moving to the next-gen system, we have to meet a certain criteria. And we've gotten close several times, but every time there's an annexation or every time, something changes, it's kind of a moving target in that regard. So I thought budgeting a little bit of money there to put us over the hump and get us to the next-gen 911 standard would be beneficial to the safety of the county.
So of those three priorities, the aerial flights, the contractors for internal efficiencies, and the next-gen system, can you just give me a swag as to what each of those is going to run?
Oh, sure, yeah. So the annual flight, that would be an additional $45,000. And then the services of GeoCom, they've estimated $35,000. I would like to try to talk them down because I feel like we're close enough that it shouldn't require too much assistance from them. And then the GIS services, from a company called Pro West out in Minnesota is around $20,000.
With regard to the aerial flight,
Yeah.
can we get away with the every other year? I mean, is the county gonna go off the rails if we don't?
Yeah, I mean, that's of
Talk
course.
to me about it.
Yeah, so that's of course up to your discretion. I think it's nice to have just due to the rapid changes occurring in the county. So from my vantage point, that's why I'm putting it in the budget, and I'm glad that we're having the discussion. It's of course, I guess I would put it more on the nice-to-have side of things rather than a must-have. So, that's something to be aware of. But yeah, especially in the northern half of the county, due to the rapid changes, it's really nice having as current an aerial as we possibly can. It's pretty beneficial to several different offices, so.
And then, I know that this is much smaller in your department, but I noticed the travel and the training have basically jumped up 50 to 100%. Is there like a special conference you're going to this year, or is that just kind of a aspirational ask, if you will?
Yeah, so the travel and conference, let me take a look here. So we found, I believe back in 24, yeah, so in 24, we had kind of a higher amount for travel, and then that dropped down in 25 and 26. The budget was $2,000 for travel and $2,000 for training and conference. Now, a lot of the training expenses are pretty minimal. So a lot of it is getting to the venue to do the training. And so that's why, we kind of dropped down the training expenses and then bumped up the travel based on the current need. There's one particular GIS conference that's pretty well attended by GIS professionals around the country and even the globe. And that's a really great resource for us to try to stay on top of things and, make sure we're not being passed by as far as the current trends and the information that we need to do our jobs.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Next question, information technology. Anybody here from IT? Okay, that's fine. I'll move on. Human resources, Carrie, got a question for you.
Yep.
Okay, so expense category, the second paragraph down, expense category
Yep.
42. In fees and contracts, in 24, we were about 1,800. 25, we're at 3,200. So far this year, we're at about 12,000 plus. Is that for the salary study that just got
Well,
done?
the fees and contracts is actually due to the TAM resource, and that's actually going to move to IT's budget going forward. It's for the total absence management ongoing expense that we approved earlier, or at the end of last year for this year. And that's through ADP.
Okay, and I suppose that's part of what was the 26.
Correct.
For 25.9, but it jumps up pretty substantially here, from 25 to 43,000.
And that's one of the corrections. That one is not.
Okay.
That's- Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to, so that one is going to be 12,000. So it's
Okay.
actually going to go down. What? Oh, fees and contracts is going to be 5,000, and professional fees is going to be 12.
You got it. Under supplies and materials, we're jumping up. We jumped up in 26 to 3,000 and then 27 to 4,000. Is there some Are you like doing an initiative or anything?
I mean, that mostly comes from retention efforts that we do, and they just are costing more.
Okay. And then training and conference is jumping up, doubling from 6,000 to 12,000.
So there's two parts to that. One is, when I was brand new to budgeting, I put stuff for certification in professional fees and contracts. So part of that came out. It would have been 15, and it moved down to 12, and that's moving into the training piece of it. The other piece is, I would like Courtney, my new HR technician, to go get some training in AI and recruitment, because the landscape of recruiting has changed so much, and she's brand new to the role, so I would like her to get some additional training there. So that's an additional piece for her.
If some of that, this is so picky, but.
Yep.
But I promise you, I've got
No,
a
it's all good.
reason why.
Yep, for sure.
If some of the supplies and materials are actually part of employee retention, can we just put it under retention? Because then that way we can start doing the year over year tracking of
absolutely.
what the retention costs are. That's all.
I
I
have
know
no
it's
opposition-
picky.
no.
I know it's picky.
Well, the retention category was new, and then we didn't use it, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm very okay with keeping it clean, for sure.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Sheriff, we're still doing lots of overtime wages. Would you like to talk about that?
I want to just, again, on the personnel budgets, I don't really want to go over them because there's a couple different things that we were tweaking in the spreadsheet for overtime on how it was calculating it.
Yeah.
We had 10% in there for overtime, but it was taking it 10% times their hours instead of 10% time their wage. So we're going to come back with corrections on all the personnel. So if we can leave that one alone for just a minute, that would be great.
Yeah, and I'm not taking anything as gospel here. I get it. We're in a state of flux. The reason I kind of pegged it out was, in the past, we had this whole, probably a couple years now, we had a lot of overtime. And we said, hey, let's knock down our overtime by just authorizing more FTEs, right? I mean, do you remember that conversation, Steve? And now we're at the point where like, okay, we hired a few more folks, now we got some more overtime. Is that a conversation that needs to be had? I don't know.
Right.
So also.
Overtime will not be increased by 54%.
Okay.
Steve, sorry to cut you off, but also in that, we don't have a way to currently calculate for the differential pays. So that overtime is kind of a cushion to make sure that, because the wages are just their straight wages, 2,080 hours at their rate. So the overtime kind of compensates for that differential pay because we don't have a way of calculating that.
So in my mind, we should not allow that overtime number to start creeping in and talking about a fix-it plan of any kind. That's just, it's just.
And I don't know where this
Not
is
a
through, but I think we're somewhere in the $70,000 mark at the halfway point for this year for the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says, 68.5.
68.5.
So we're under, we're not even close to 50% of the budget. So we and just to clarify, I scrutinize overtime. It's scrutinized all the way down. So we allow as much as necessary, but it's not a free-for-all, I can promise you.
No, I agree. What I was trying to figure out is that creating the demand signal to start having conversations about full-time employees as opposed to using your existing full-time force and and permitting them to work more. So that's not the demand signal. And
I think
we should not interpret it that way.
I think
She's sitting back there.
Yeah. What would, in the budget, I've budgeted for one FTE deputy. So we just keep kind of working towards this, but this, and I won't quote the number, but when I first arrived here, the overtime was on tilt.
Yeah.
We really have, with that conversation that you brought up, we've eliminated a lot of that. And it's obviously been way better for our employees, but I don't think that where we're at on overtime, and I know Sherry has a formula for it, I think we're right in industry standards. And quite frankly, we get a bunch of overtime from the federal government, from the state of South Dakota, that's offered to our employees that rarely work it because they want to do their 10 hours and go home. So I promise you the overtime they're working is much needed.
Yep. That was the only, that was the only concern I had there.
Okay, anything on the jail or
Yeah,
911 while I'm standing here?
yeah, let's talk about the jail. There seems to be, that's a pretty big bump right there from going from 626 to 875. That's a $250K increase. Can you talk us through what's,
Again, I don't think it's the official number, the salary. The salary numbers are not jiving with the way that, what they're going in. We're asking for 2 COs for the new building, but obviously that's not a $250,000 ask.
under your fees and contracts, we go from 16,000 to 45K, that's a 29,000 bump. Now, I know that there's some tasers for the sheriff's department, some for the jail, and I think the tasers were included in the, some of them would have been included in that fees and contracts on the sheriff's side. What else is driving that increase there on fees and contracts?
So a big part of that is going to be our CAD system on the jail division. And quite frankly, 24, it was 22,000, 25, it was 29,000. Those are actual numbers. We're on pace at about 30,000 again this year, and I, for whatever reason, budgeted 16,000. So I grossly under budgeted. Now, when Sherry and I were working on the taser information, I had initially put the 10,000 for the jail, and this would also reflect back on the sheriff's budget as well. 10,000 would come up. I would reduce that fees and contracts by 10,000 because we actually are going to own it's a contract for the tasers, but we have technically own them, and we will, as they die off, we will surplus them, so that's not something we'll return. So that 10,000 will, so I would reduce that to 19,000 and increase furniture and mine equipment by 10,000. So that's just moving that number.
Going down to the prisoner medical cost, I know back in '24, we got nailed pretty hard, but then it's dropped since then. Maybe that's just a reflection of, larger trends, obviously, regarding how many people are in custody and whatnot. For this year, you had 70, but we're at 17,000 in the middle. Is that basically just worst-case scenario budgeting there?
Yeah, I started budgeting that off of 2024. And my staff does a really good job of making sure if we, working with the state's attorney's office, if we can move people around and get them out of custody for medical issues. That's one of the things I think we've improved at. But number two, it's a number that can change like that.
Yeah.
One bad inmate that we can't let out would tip that upside down. Now,
Some inmate on dialysis or
Right,
something,
exactly.
who knows, yeah, right. Nope, I got it, Steve. And then the motor vehicles, my last question just about the motor vehicles. Are you making, a request for a motor vehicle?
Two in the jail, and what I'm requesting is 2 Dodge Durangos, which are $10,000 cheaper than the Tahoes, but we have 2 Tahoes in the jail that are at the 120,000 mile mark, so they would be surplus. So it's not adding 2 additional vehicles, it's replacing two vehicles.
We got those vans and then we bought that new or I don't know what to call it, bus. Is there any way where those things can, what did the 2 Dodge Durangos accomplish what you already have?
Those are the single transports, which we do frequently. Our goal is probably next year, within the next couple of years, is surplus that second van because we probably aren't going to need that. We surplused one this year, get rid of the second one, and then use the bus for the multi-person transport. We should have it operational in about 2 weeks, and then we're going to kind of just evaluate it. but the sergeant and one of the jail deputies take those vehicles home, report to the courthouse or the jail in the morning for the single transports. Or say we have 4 men and one woman, we can bring the woman down in a single transport in the.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you. Who's doing floodplain management? Is that Dave Dixon? Yeah. So, I think percentage-wise, you may actually have the distinction of being the single largest, biggest percentage increase year over year on your line item here. We're going to $100,000 on floodplain management, up from 0 to $100,000. Am I reading this correctly? In 2024, we were in 7,000. 2025, we were at 180. And now here in 2026 and 27, we're at 100,000.
Yeah, so last year it was approved for 100,000, and that's carrying over to the proposed for 27. So 0% over last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? So you asked for $100,000 last year, you didn't use it, at least as of today. What's the carryover reason? What are you thinking we're going to be using it for?
Yeah, so the main rationale there is to have funding for projects and engineering as those arise. And if they don't arise, then it doesn't all get used up. That's the rationale.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
On page 26 of 61, other economic assistance, I see it's listed out as $202,606. Could we just get the list of who
Yeah,
that's going to and how much?
Yeah, I can, let me attach it real quick, and then we can come back to it.
Somebody's got to fix his chair.
Need a little WD-40 on that or something? Or you could just use that
That's what I'm
one.
going to do when I'm done.
I think the last person who sat in that was probably Mike Nadolski, and that's probably like 7 or 8 years ago.
Well, I was coming over here for Dust Squeak when I'm done.
Just don't add it into this budget.
The transportation costs on that?
I'm gonna make you go to Staples and buy it yourself.
I grab mine out of my office.
So the outside agencies, like we've done in the past, send them a form, ask them what their budget ask would be. I think you guys, I should have sent this to you, so if you haven't seen it again too, I can send it out again, but it's here. So we have several outside agencies that we send money to. A couple of them are mandated by SDCLs, so they're, I guess this should have been, it probably looks better in landscape, but that's all right. That's what we have now. So,
Well, maybe, Paul, what would help is, in last year's budget book, y'all just printed out who it was going to on the spreadsheet. that
oh
you
yeah,
gave
this
us.
spread, yeah, I can get you a copy of this spreadsheet. I can run through it real quick too, so you know what you're seeing when you see it before. So mandated by statute, Southeastern Behavioral Health, SECL 27A-5-9 and 10. layout that the county pays per capita $1 to a behavioral health center. Southeastern Behavioral Health is the only one that qualifies for us anywhere close.
That's page, just.
That's, it's all tucked into the thing, so I'll get you a hard copy of this. As soon as I sit down, I'll print out a hard copy so you can see it. So that Southeastern Behavioral Health is from the last census, so we send $65,161 to them. We used to fund Chamber of Commerce and Development Foundation. I have these in here. I believe these are in the request, so this was, Commissioner Schmidt just asked me to have, look at what it would cost to join all of the local chambers of commerce, for economic development. So we have, Canton, Sioux Falls, Beersford, Harrisburg, Lenox, T, the Sioux Falls Development Foundation and the Sioux Falls Chamber, two different entities. And then we have our SDAC and NACO dues, County Commission. For 26, we stopped being a part of the Sioux Metro Growth Alliance. We had done 8,000 to 9,000, then 7,500 and 25. We took that out. Also for Sioux Falls, we took out for 25 and 26. I believe Tyler from Sioux Metro Growth sent you guys an email. That's up to you guys if you want to entertain that. I would wait direction for you. Also included on here is some pre-trial services. These are both required by statute. Soil conservation isn't in the other economic assistance, but it is a later page, but it's included in this outside agency. The Lincoln County Soil Conservation District requested 22,000. Planning and zoning, this is just included because it's outside agency, but it's part of the planning and zoning budget, 21,000 to CCOG. And then here's the meat of the other economic assistance. You have Children's Inn, Helpline Center, Solace, which used to be the Compass Center, Inner Lakes Community Action, the Sioux Empire Trier Center, formerly the Link, although the last year and this year, last year we budgeted out of the opioid funds, and that is also the way it is currently budgeted this year. So doing a budget allocation to the Sioux Empire Triage Center out of a different line item, which is the opioid fund.
Yeah.
Because the opioid funds can only be spent on opioid remediation. The Link's really one of the only, there's a couple others, but they're one of the biggest places that do opioid remediation.
Right. Just zooming back out.
Yep.
Bigger picture, on page 26, I would just ask that we have these listed and as line items and who they're going to. And we did that last year too, so.
Well, the reason
Right.
that they're not is it doesn't total.
Oh.
So,
What do
When you
you,
look at other economic assistance, it
Yeah.
says 188,028 is the total, and we've got listed 202,606.
yeah, the math ain't mathin', as the kids say.
Yeah, and
And then, like, for example, I got a question for you, Paul.
Sure.
Did Sanford Health, and, I think I looked at their IRS return, they're like a multi-billion-dollar company, and I see we're giving them $15,000. Did Sanford, a multi-billion-dollar nonprofit, did they actually submit a request to us asking our county taxpayers to give them 15 grand?
it wasn't a request per se, it's just a continuation of the way I've been treating it is because is that it is a continuation of a contract that exists until there hasn't been any other direction otherwise. So I treat it as, from my understanding, as the contract, as the whole contract exists, and they provide the services. They've gone over it before, whatever it is, a couple times a month, and do at the senior citizen centers. I believe one of them is here in Canton at the church.
Do we have any metrics, how many senior, first of all, I've never seen anybody from Sanford come in here and appear, number one.
No.
Not in the 7 years I've been here, or 8 now. And then I'm wondering if there's any metrics, how many people are served, why they're served, what they're doing. My understanding looking into this is some kind of community health education issue, and it only goes to the hospital, the Sanford Hospital in Canton. Right?
Yeah, I don't have much
you
more
think that-
answers than that. We've reached out to him. I can get him to, we'll see if I can request that someone shows up and we get more of an explanation.
Yeah,
That's the
I'm
best I
wondering-
have right now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Bill Gasson, CEO of Sanford, really needs Lincoln County's 15 grand, you know?
Yeah, I'll have more answers for you next, for the 30th.
Couldn't we just terminate that till such time?
It's like some legacy zombie program that just keeps appearing. It needs line by line attention is what it needs. And,
Yeah, real quick,
Yeah.
just the code abilities that's another statutory required. We pay per resident. I think we have, whatever the number equates to, we pay $60 per day per resident. That's the number they give us with the residents they have. And then Lifescapes was the last one down there. And then we have libraries and senior citizens, which are their own items, but we can tackle them here. We give an equal amount to every library in the county now. We used to give variance amounts, and last year we decided to give an equal amount to each library. And then the senior citizens line cannot exceed 20,000 right now. It's at the adjusted number, whatever we adjusted it to. It's like 9,000. So that's to the local. That is to local senior citizens groups that provide meals and that kind of thing.
and then if you turn to the next page, Paul, page 27 of 61, support of the poor. Poor expenses under rent. You know, in 24, they were 3K, in 25, they were 6K.
I'll defer on that one.
And then, but we've jumped all the way up to like 20K for last year, and now we're sticking with that 20K number.
If you remember at the beginning of the year, we adjusted what we would pay out for rent expenses to match what Minnehaha was and also the standard. So we increased what we would pay for rent expense. That's why the number's gone up.
Okay, but
And you gotta remember that the 24, 25, and 26, those first three numbers are what we actually spent. That's not what we
Yeah.
budgeted, so. But yeah, we increased it over last year just due to the fact that as a board, you increased that number we would pay for rent.
Okay, but historically, we just don't pay that much, though. And same for, if you go to the next line item, utilities, we especially have never paid 20 grand a year for utilities, have we?
What you have to think about, though, is in previous years, there was all different ARPA funds and everything to offset this. So the county wasn't getting it hit as hard as they are now. Those funds have dried up. There's other services that are not available. So now the burden's coming back onto the counties.
But we're only at $375 for 2026.
We must not have a lot of requests for it. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
the number is there. You wanted to lower it? Fine. You want to come in for a supplement later, then if we need it? Fine.
Well, I think what I'm getting at here is when I talk about the hospital bills, we always have those hospital bills, but we put zero for them. What I'm thinking is you would take some out of the rent and the utilities and you would drop that down to the hospital bills.
The hospital bills with the expanded Medicaid, they haven't really, the hospital bills that you are seeing that we, like the 136 that we paid is what we contracted to pay off, the settlement and agreement that we did on it. So no, we don't plan on doing settlement and agreements every year on it. That is something that comes in usually May to July, and then we see from there. So to budget, what number would you put in there? We're hoping that we don't do any more settlements, but when they do come through, then we would do a settlement. But if you would want to drop the utilities expense or the rent expense, whatever you want to do, that we've just been putting that $20,000 in there as basically a placeholder.
Yeah.
And now that we've gotten away from the different programs available to supplement these, you're probably going to see the numbers increasing.
Okay. Next page, county nurse.
That's at Sanford DNA.
Okay. Why is that in a different category then?
Yeah, so just to clear it up, so like when you look at my sheet here, this outside agency, it's just in a different space. I think because I just need to pull it to a different line, so it would appear down here. So the total number for other economic assistance is not actually, and I think that's what Sherry was correcting me on earlier, is that it's not 202,000, it's 187,000. Because you would remove the 15,000 for the Sanford Health VNA out of the other economic assistance, and it's actually in the county nurse item.
So we gotta pull that out of other economic assistance then.
Yeah.
And you
So
gotta
the
put
other
that-
economic assistance as it stands right now in the thing in front of you would
Because-
go to,
Because Paul, historically, when I go back, it's
Yeah.
all listed in other economic assistance, but then, as Sanford, historically, and I'm wondering if there's been two separate line items, one for the county nurse and one for.
I don't believe that there's been,
Okay.
I don't believe it's been doubled up. I think it's just changing how we're accounting for it or how we're showing it on the budget and then using legacy sheets and new changes and not everything when it hasn't been like fully updated to reflect the way we budget it. So it's been in that item, in that one spreadsheet historically, but it didn't ever move down and clear it up. And so that's why that's why that discrepancy is there.
Well, that's better then.
Yeah.
Nice. Under the mentally ill, page 29, and maybe this is the same logic here as what I asked before. For last year, we jumped up to 47,000. Now we've dropped back down to 45,000.
So a lot of those numbers come from 3-year averages,
Okay.
because there's no way to really say how many mental ill, and we can't say, oh, we're at 300,000, we're done serving them. It's
Okay.
just whatever we get, we pay.
Okay. Under page 31, under the county libraries, just same thing, Paul. Can we have those listed out, line itemed out?
Yeah,
Who's
that's
going to?
in the thing I just added. So we give to,
I think some of the concern here
Oh.
that could just be easily cleared up is just if we have everything contained in one document set, instead of requiring this whole, look at this one, and then go to this one, and then go to this one. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Just-
I'd have to defer to the auditor
Yeah.
on that, on how that would.
You'll have to provide me with where your numbers came from, and then I'll add it to it.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
like that one for the other economic assistance, it should be 188 minus
Yeah,
50.
I need to provide
And
a.
it's 202, so
Yeah.
you'll need to tell me where the numbers came from, and I will put it on there.
No, but for this one, I'm talking about, normally in, like, a line item for like, county library, the line item is just, library, so county library. It normally wouldn't break down, like, this wouldn't usually show then the 6 different libraries that we're sending to.
No, but what we would have done on the bottom of this is we would have broke down that it was Beersford Library, Lennox Library, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, yeah.
But your total here says 40,100, and again, you budgeted for 30,000.
Yeah, I think if you just, y'all get your heads together.
Sure.
In the same room, it'll get cleared up. County 4-H, salaries and wages, for 26. Is that just a natural increase, or are you asking for some, is there gonna be some part-time help that you're asking for there? I see the 26 budget was 25 was 124, 26 is 126, and now this year is 132. So going from the 26 to the 32, is that just natural increase in salary and wages?
I would assume so.
Or-
We're not asking for another person. I know, you'll notice in the part-time wages, Sherry had that on her corrections, that she put it at 0 in 27, but it should remain the same at 5,100.
Okay.
Because we do have a summer assistant.
Summer help.
Yep.
Salary, or supplies and materials went up pretty significantly. Not from last year to this year, but I mean,
Right.
from 25 to 26.
Mhm.
We're now at $6,000 out there. Is there, are y'all like doing something new or something?
We upped that amount when we added another full-time person. When Tracy came on, we just tried to up that since we had another person out doing programming. We have not reached that amount yet, but that was just to account for ordering more supplies to go to classrooms and reach kids.
On the next line item down there, the travel. If you look at 24, 25, we've never really hit that high of a travel. And now, so like 26 was this big jump, and now we've leveled off or went down $200 for 2027. Should it kind of be down a little lower, or is there like something big y'all got planned out there that you're traveling
No,
to?
so the reasoning that we went to 11,500 for this 2026 budget was to account for, to pay mileage. In my time here, I had not requested mileage during any of that time, and so that was to account, looking back at what Tracy had driven throughout her time during the year, plus what I would have traveled during that time, in addition to our state and national conferences. That also includes the travel to there, plus the registrations for there, because you'll notice training and conference has been at zero because that wasn't a separate line item in the past. So now that has been broken out, so that's our registrations.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I would think we'd wanna be tracking that whole mileage
Right.
issue.
Mhm.
And then if you put the training conference in its own line item, then we can track, what's been spent. The
Yep.
4-H achievement days, you know, back in 25, that was $8,000, and now last year bumped up 5,000, and then for this next year, it's just leveled out.
It's been 13,000 the whole time.
Okay,
So that, what you're looking at, 25 is what was spent,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. So 13,000 was spent in last year's achievement days?
No, and last year it was $8,809.
Okay.
That was just our budgeted item has been 13,000 in there since the entire time I've been here, so almost 6 years.
Okay. You never end up spending that much, though, do you?
I have not so far.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. The Soil Conservation District on page 34 jumped up from 20,000 to 22,000. Is that, Paul, I think you answered the question earlier. Is that just because they sent in a document that said so?
Yes, but they had requested 22,000 last year as well, but we kept them at 20,000. Now I'm blanking on his name, but he was here early in the year talking about all their their practices and stuff. We can get him back in. I think the gist of his presentation was that their costs have gone up to provide their services, and the extra 2,000, they run a really tight budget. They can provide budget numbers for us. I think their recommendation was that just the increase to help with their costs.
Thank you, Paul. That's all I know I've been running sheet by sheet here, maybe it's been.
A lot of my questions.
Yeah, maybe it's been of assistance. I apologize in advance. I have to leave. But I want to thank everybody for coming in today to answer these questions. It's been very helpful.
Go ahead. Anybody else have any other questions?
Madam Chair, I want to.
And I wish I could have kept going there, but I got to take off.
Director of Equalization. And if you will look on page 12, you will see that Carla has reduced her overall by $17,774.64. So Carla, we talked about that. Do you want to tell us how you did that? Because that's pretty substantial reduction.
Well, most of the reduction, good afternoon, Commissioners. Carla Gosen, Director of Equalization. A lot of the reduction was, there was a new vehicle request in 2025, for 2026, and that dropped that line item by $32,000. Any of the other adjustments within the other line items, I either took a 3-year average, or I penciled out, like our training and school and conferences, I penciled out where the attendance is at and how many potential appraisers would be attending those conferences and workshops and schooling. So everything was penciled out, try to, remain as fiscally responsible for the office and for the county, but a lot of that was the taking the vehicle request out.
Okay.
Other questions from commission?
Sometime, Carla, we'll have to talk about, not on our budget, but we'll talk about office space as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Commissioner Putnam, questions?
Nothing right now.
All right, Commissioner Schmidt, any more questions from you?
Not today, we'll probably,
I've got, are we ending?
If nobody has any questions,
Okay, then I thought we were still talking about the budget.
we are.
Okay. No, I'm good. I just have a question on something else.
Commissioner Otten, any questions that you have so far? All right.
not today.
So I'm going to go through and I'm going to tighten up the personnel numbers again, double check them to see that that's coming through, make the changes to HR, sheriff, and jail, and then I will send these documents to Paul again for you guys to review.
All right, thanks, Sherry. Any public input on the budget work session?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nate Vanderplat, City of Lenox. You have or should shortly receive a formal request from the City of Lenox City Council that they approved last night for EMS funding, for regional EMS. Just some context, and most of you were here earlier this year. Commissioner Otten obviously is going to be new to this conversation, but is hopefully familiar with it. We've been talking about cessation of services outside city limits without a funding solution in place. Presented study findings to the commission earlier in 2026, and then former Commissioner Otten had led several stakeholder meeting groups over the course of this year. Our most recent one was with all of the jurisdictions involved, and there seemed to be a willingness to move forward with some sort of funding solution. And so we're simply requesting that you save some space in the budget for some sort of funding solution here. We've got a wide range in that funding request letter because we don't have an exact amount until we know who is all in. And the two big factors in that are whether Lincoln County is going to participate or the townships in their place. But on top of that, whether T is going to participate. I would say the latter of those two is probably the big deciding factor for what changes these numbers the most, so.
Nate, some of this, in the last meeting we had, we tossed around, from a county perspective, anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 was, along with the townships coming in and along with the cities and everything, but the county had been talked about. This talked about in that category.
Yeah, and this is a much larger range and higher range than that. This request assumes that the county covers the township shares. I don't know that that's going to be the case. That's going to be up to whatever this governing body decides when they get together and form a joint operating agreement, if that's what they choose. But they're going, they've got to decide who's in, who wants to do this, what the funding structure should look like. Like, are there dues that are based on population or call volume or assessed value, whatever it might be.
then it's up to each jurisdiction to figure out how they come up with the revenue to fund that. And there was a fair amount of discussion at that last meeting about the use of special assessments.
And the clock is ticking, so everybody is aware of that.
It is.
Because Lennox will discontinue going out after,
January 1.
pardon?
January 1.
January 1 of '27.
Yep. So the clock is ticking, you're right. I have a countdown on my whiteboard in the office. I know it's less than 180 days at this point.
Yeah.
But I've been more optimistic after our last couple of meetings that we can find a solution working together with the townships, cities, and counties. I'll be speaking to the Chancellor City Commission tonight, spoke to Turner County Commission last week, a couple of townships next week. There seems to be a high degree of willingness to make something happen here.
Nate, do you know when you'd be ready to bring it forward for our budget discussion with
A final
something a little
number?
more concrete?
If we can get a yes or no, so every jurisdiction has been asked to give us a yes or no by the end of August, September 1. At that point, we'll know, we can nail down numbers for the different scenarios, whether it's population, call volume, so on and so forth. Until that joint operating agreement is final, there's no way to say for sure. I think to get a better sense of that, I would encourage some discussions between the county and those township representatives to try and figure out, what kind of assistance do they need? Because this is, what we're asking from the county doesn't save the city of Lennox anything. It's really something that helps those rural areas and the townships out with what's expected from them. So
Sheriff?
I would like to say that by the end of October, I would think we can make some progress with those groups.
And our budget will be finalized by
By
then,
then, yep.
right?
And we're in the same boat, townships are in the same boat.
Yeah. Okay.
So and it's not important to us, I say us as a city, it'll be some new group that's running this. How that due structure and when those dues are payable, I think that can all be worked out. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
All right, other public input on the budget work session?
Linda Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. Madam Chair, I want to thank you for the way you went through the budget. We have a long way to go to narrow the gap from 8 million. And every little bit helps, and you brought up some things with the bridges and roads and other things. I'm looking at, I just pulled out some of the simple things that somebody as me as a citizen will look at, and that's travel. And I wrote down all the departments, and some are very high on travel. Their budget went up, and we have $178,076. And then on training, with all the departments together, it's $106,289.00. And then I'm saying this because in the civilian world, when my employer had budget problems, we as employees, of course, did. I got cut down to part-time. I'm not saying that we are to that, and I'm not saying that I'm requesting that. What I'm saying is that your employees as well as the commission have to look at what can we do? Do we need to take a 10% cut per department? I know that's unpopular, but you're talking about $8 million. It's a big deal. And then I went through utilities. Every department has utilities, and I called and asked Auditor Lund what that was for, and that's for phone and internet. And that came up to $593,460 in phone and internet. And I know that both of those are very important, and I'm just wondering, are those numbers correct? And it's just, those things are something I want to look at. And also on conferences. Do we need to, most conferences now, you can watch on video. I know that's not as exciting as being there, but I've had to do it myself for my profession. What I'm looking for is, and you are, that's what you guys are looking for, and I commend you for looking at how we can decrease that 800 million. So from our income to our expenses. Thank you.
Thank you. Other input on the budget work session? All right, if not, now would be the time for public comment for items not on our agenda.
Chair, we have 2 items from consent agenda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I totally skipped over those. So Commissioner Putnam, you asked for item 5 to be removed and put on regular, so we need to take that up.
I guess I want to elaborate on what is an actual moratorium on personal actions.
That is the standard that we do every time that somebody's eligible for like a step increase or a promotion. So yeah, we do this every time somebody has met their criteria to be eligible for a step increase. So yeah, that's just the title that we've used.
Okay.
Any other questions about that
Any other
one?
questions?
Good, okay.
Any public input on the agenda item? Can I get a motion?
I approve. Motion to approve.
Is there a second? I got a motion and a second. Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam,
Yeah.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Otten,
Aye.
Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. And then you asked for item 8 on consent to be removed, so go ahead.
I guess I'm just wondering what that $2 million is there from the general fund to the highway.
It is the budgeted cash transfer from the general fund to the highway.
Just a normal deal. The highway department is, has already had their doing whatever it is they're doing, and they need the 2 million. Is that the deal?
When you guys prepare the budget, you'll have a cash transfer from the general fund, knowing that you have to cover some of the highway department. This is part of the budgeted cash transfer for 2026.
There we go. Thank you.
Any other questions about that? Any public input on it? If not, could I get a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the cash transfer. If there's no further discussion, Alicia, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Putnam,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Otten,
Aye.
Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, then now is our opportunity for public comment for items not on our agenda. Anybody would like to come up? If not, do we have a commission office report?
Paul Anderson, Commission Administrative Assistant. Don't have anything really big. We've been focusing on the budget. All I would say is let me know if there's anything you want to see in the meantime, until 2 weeks from now. The thing from Lennox should be in your inbox. This is just kind of catching up on the things that happened from last week. As well as, I think that's it for right now. So in the meantime, just let me know. We're in the process of getting Commissioner Otten onboarded, and introduce that. The liaison list will be updated online, all that stuff will be updated. And, you had invitations to the SEACC conference, sent it out in the email. If you'd like me to get you registered, let me know so I can get that taken care of and noticed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any commission reports today?
All I have is I just wondering, Who does any fund grants? Is there anything in-house? Anybody?
Who does what?
No, we don't have a grant writer. No, we do not have a grant writer.
Grant writers that apply for grants, I'm sorry.
No, we do not do that. Usually the departments do it internally within their own department.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Yesterday, the Downtown Rotary had a program featuring 3 communities, Lenox, T, and Harrisburg. And they were talking about the growth that they have experienced in Lincoln County and where the population, why it grew, what anticipation. Looking at the full range of things as these communities continue to grow and what the county role has been, what the county role could be. So it was a very enlightening kind of conversations because you got 3 communities that are really on the grow and from their perspective and how county can assist, and all of that was brought forward. So it was very informative.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Any other reports today? All right, if not, Drew, do we need an executive session? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. There being none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good, thank you.